I'm assuming my man's getting clawed up real quick. Is that what's going on?
Was that?
You getting clawed up?
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I had to go get my lighter. Actually,
Oh,
claws are right here. We're
oh,
ready.
okay.
They're
Yeah,
stay ready with those.
yeah. I was about to say he wouldn't even need to get up for those. But yeah, what's up, everybody? What's up, Instagram? What's up, YouTube? What's up to everybody watching on an audio platform? It is time for Beefy Boys episode 48 coming up on that big
48, 48.
5-0. And man, what a dope fight night. I know we're coming off the letdown of what was supposed to be Sanhagen Dillashaw and turned into Watterson.
Yeah.
Somebody, Rodriguez.
Yeah, Marina. I was gonna say we're terrible if we don't know the main event names. But
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
say that was the worst card of the year. I mean,
Oh yeah, no, that was kind of the point to emphasize how forgettable it was. But yeah, we got. So I'm saying full on redemption with Font Garbrandt on a fight night. I'll take that any day.
hey, before we get into the fights, bro, we got to talk about your UFO. We have to. We can't not. Like, it would be a disservice to humanity to not discuss the actual UFO you saw.
Yeah, so the people are asking for it. My partner's asking for it. So I mean, I'll come out and say it before anybody tries to like debunk this. Like, I am like a pretty big like UFO guy. Like, I'm always posting UFOs. So is my wife. Like, we believe in them, but we had never seen one on our own.
But you're not like a flat Earth Bigfoot guy.
No. And I mean, I'm an open-minded guy, but like, I don't know. Cause I know some people want to say like, what is that? The kind of bias where you want something
like confirmation bias. Yeah.
Yeah. So I just kind of want to get out ahead of those people, like the confirmation bias people. But, yeah, so I'm chilling in the room. I think actually like the post-fight show was on or something of that nature.
Yeah, that probably been about the right time.
And I was chilling in my room, and my girlfriend had got up to like let my dog in the backyard, or not my girlfriend, my wife. So Nina was letting the dog out in the backyard, and she's like, hey guy, she calls me guy. Hey guy, come look.
All right, you know what? Girlfriend's back to appropriate.
And she's like, come look. And mind you, I'll be completely honest. She's done this before, and it turned out to be nothing. So, I'm honestly kind of like rolling my eyes as I'm getting up, like, all right, I'm going to go look. And then I look, and there's this thing. It's in the sky at super quick glance, kind of just looks like a bright star, like maybe a little closer than a star, maybe a slightly different color than the other stars. But, and it's a really weird thing to look at because it's obviously far away. It's obviously very bright, and then it's obviously against the black night sky. But you also got to consider, I'm in downtown San Jose of a big city, so it's not that pitch black. Like, it's if you've ever been out at night in a big city, you know what I'm talking about. Like,
my goodness.
It doesn't get the same kind of dark as it does like in the country or in the mountains or whatever. So it's like, but anyway, so I'm looking at it. And at first I want to make sure, like, I come in full skeptic. Like, I come in like not want like full skeptic.
Like Michael Shermer, like head of the International Skeptics Society.
And I was looking at it, and at first it appeared to be moving, like this.
That's what I thought.
Like, it appeared to be kind of moving around, but still, my natural knee-jerk reaction was like, oh, my eyes are playing tricks on me. I just was in the house in the light, and now I'm outside in the dark, and I'm looking at something far away. I was like, maybe my eyes are just playing on me. And so I stood there for about 5-10 minutes before I even started recording that video that I posted. And it was without a doubt moving. Like, it was moving so much that it had like changed parts of the sky that I was looking at. I could tell it had moved from our ancestors used the stars to navigate. Like, you can tell like where. Like, the stars are fixed. Like,
that's what I mean. Yeah, like those are fixed positions, so you can navigate against the sky at all times.
Yes. So it was pretty easy to tell it was moving. And even like at one point, it was like I didn't have to look over the shed to view it. And then at one point, I had to like look over the shed to view it. So I was using like points of reference to kind of prove that it was moving. Because like I said, I was like, nah, man, your eyes are playing with you. I didn't want to believe it. And then
natural human reaction, I'd feel.
Yeah, so I was still pretty damn skeptical, but I was like, okay, this thing's moving. But I wanted to get it on camera to prove that it wasn't my eyes moving. And then whenever I saw it, you hear my reaction on the video I posted. You see it at Dreadful Talk Dom on Instagram, or if you're friends with me on Facebook. But I was able to like film it moving, and you hear my reaction. I'm like, oh shit! It's like it really is moving. Like the doubt gets removed from my voice.
Bro, and, not even that. Like videos on your Facebook for anyone who wants to go watch it. But to me, it looks like a coin. Like, you know when you spin a coin on a tabletop and it's like spinning around itself? Bro, that's what it looks like.
So that's the other part of it. It was almost like there was like a spotlight on one side of it.
And it was flowing around it.
Yes. Like,
but you know what I think that was actually? There's a point that's reflecting light that every time it spins past us, it shoots the light from the city back at it or back out.
And then, like, there was times where it even seemed like there was a multicolored lights, but then it would switch to white light.
Like red, white, and blue?
Yeah. and
your video is pretty clear, honestly.
Like Nina said she wasn't as big on the colors, but her eyes are also really bad. My aunt did see the colors as well. And so that made me feel better. And then there was definitely points at which it was dimmer and brighter. Like, that part was undeniable.
It was like pulsating.
Yeah. And like I said, the video is only like 45 seconds long. I stayed out there so long until my neck hurt from looking up. Like, I was out there at least 30 minutes. I was shivering in the cold. Like,
wow.
I was like, I'm not taking my eyes off this thing. I low-key was waiting for it to like either disappear or shoot away. That would have 100% been the exclamation point to remove all doubt. But my neck was hurting and I got cold, so I eventually went in. And so, yeah, man, I'm pretty – and so also want to debunk kind of like the start – not even debunk, but offer my – because then everybody's coming at me with Starlink, especially –
No, they didn't have a launch until like the last, 5 days, 6 days?
I looked up Starlink launches. There wasn't one last night. And I looked up other – like Starlink reportings and Starlink videos, they're all pretty similar. You see a bunch of them from Texas, and like
isn't it a bunch of lights though?
A bunch of lights, and they're all like in a line. Almost looks like anti-aircraft gun. Like,
exactly, it looks like a battalion of ships almost.
Yeah, and they're all in a line. Like, I've seen those videos. We've all seen those videos. Like that's not what I saw. Like, I don't know, Alex Vavios thinks he knows everything in the damn world. He was I know the engineer at Starlink. Like, great, bro.
Like,
maybe he can explain.
Him, like, help me help you. Like, what do you mean?
Like what I saw was, and it was, I like to use the word UAP. It was really high up in the air. Like,
unidentified aerial
phenomenon. Because I don't know if it was like a flying saucer that was just so high up it appeared to be a circle. I honestly, I get more of the vibe of like have you seen like those videos like they're coming out of Brazil like crazy? They're like these like ball type UFOs, almost like
spheres. That's what Bob Lazar talks about in his with Jeremy Corbell on Joe Rogan a year ago. He says in the 80s they were spherical ships that would spin cylindrically.
That's kind of a lot that, or also like you see a lot of like kind of energy orb type videos too.
Yeah, like they look like they're like pulsating like energy,
like balls of like orbs of energy. Yeah, so like I think I'm leaning more of either the circle or the orb than an actual like straight up flying saucer as far as like my observations go. But yeah, man, it's crazy. Like I thought I would go my whole life like without seeing one. I wanted to. Like that's why I was like, I'm being completely honest. Like, have I wanted to see a UFO my whole life? Yes. Do I want to believe UFOs are real, and do I believe UFOs are real even before last night? Yes. So if you want to hit me with confirmation bias, I'm out in front of that. I'm being honest with you. By all means, take the low-hanging fruit if you want to. But, like, first off, also included in the video, other report, like Twitter, other people were tweeting about it. I searched the hashtag, like, San Jose UFO. Other people were tweeting about it. And now some of the other tweets did seem more like Starlink. But what I saw was not a linear, A, there was only one, and B, it was moving like sporadically in more than 360 degrees, like three-dimension, like up, down, front, back, side, side. Like it was moving in every direction, like sporadically. Like it wasn't even like it was like on a set. Like if it was a satellite, there'd be something more mechanical to the timing of the movements. Like it would have rhyme or
motion. Like it would be doing something with a purpose, because we don't make machines that don't have a purpose.
That wander aimlessly. Yeah,
we just don't do that. And if they are going to be a satellite, they're in a rotation and orbit. They follow a pattern to do a service.
Yeah, that's why the Starlink ones appear in a line, because it is essentially a line. It's an orbit.
Yeah, literally.
And so, like I said, I'm no scientist. I'll push back on the Starlink theories. You know what I mean? I'm pretty confident that's not what I saw, because I've seen that before. I've seen the same Starlink videos that everybody else has seen.
Yeah.
And what I saw last night.
And you don't just have to see those in San Jose. Like, it's not because like you're in the tech capital of the United States that you can see Starlink. Like, the people see them in Nebraska. Like, you see them all over the world because they're literally going around.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And yeah, so wild. I know that was a wild way to start the podcast, and definitely wasn't fight related.
Had to jump in on it.
Had to, bro. I mean, like I said, it was weird, man. I mean, like, my jaw was dropped, bro. Like I had goosebumps. Like I said, man, I didn't want to believe it, man. I was like trying to disprove it and like talk myself out of it, and then
just like everything kind of points to it not being anything of this earth. Like that was what I said to you. Like, everything about that video, I'm just like, that doesn't seem like it's from this planet.
And then the other thing that kind of gets lost in the video, like the spinning nature of it. Like, I guess you could see it a little bit in the video, but it was much more like obvious in real in person. And also the height. I really want to stress the height at which this thing was.
Because you were saying that it's like in the atmosphere. It's not like outside.
Yes,
like it's even below the ionosphere, right? Like below like where radio waves would be.
Yeah, it 100% seemed about the same height as like an airplane.
Like 30,000 feet.
Like it was way higher because I live in downtown San Jose, so not far from the east side. So it's not. We have the ghetto birds circling pretty often around my neighborhood, and it was way higher than a helicopter. Like I said, I know the noises and I know what a helicopter looks like. I see it. I'm also not far from the airport. We also. Like, if you look at an airplane, even if it's
it has a tail light, a nose light, and wing lights usually.
Well, and also it's moving from point A to point B across the night sky.
Straight line. Yeah.
That's 100% not what was happening, but it was. And then also, like, I really think it's important because in the video it looks like it's like the same, like it could be in outer space or something. Like, no, like it was hovering high up in the Earth's atmosphere. Like, it was not in outer space. Like, you see planets, you see stars. It was like closer than that. And at points, it appeared to maybe even come closer than that. So, yeah. Hey, I can't believe it, bro. I thought I was going to die, like, without ever seeing one.
You thought you were going to get to roast Nina and her just being like, no.
Yeah, because honestly, I've done it before. Like, I've gone out there and be like, oh, babe, yeah, that's just the airplane, or that's, Mars is in retrograde or whatever the fuck. So,
yeah.
But no, man, that's not what was going down at all. But yeah, man, crazy story, crazy night of fights. It's really hard to kind of transition from that. I think I'm going to transition with a dab, and I want you to introduce these prelim, the first prelims of the night.
Yes, sir. Let me get my camera where it won't fall on me. My God, this bracket is just done for. I have an idea, bro.
They make these little like tripod stands. I use them for skateboarding. They're on Amazon, like $7. They're kind of pieces of shit. Like, I actually broke mine already, but it might be dope. You can like really kind of control it's small. It's only like this tall. So
that's what I need. Yeah, because I got like just the fixed one. Where like the joints out. So yeah, first fight, Rafael Alves. Plus 410, riding Damir Ismagulov at minus 590, I believe, biggest or tied for biggest favorite on the card. We actually got the two biggest favorites, first two fights. I don't mind that at all. I'd like to get that out of the way because
get it out of the way, yeah.
Right, because I'm either going to get shocked or it's going to be exactly what we think on paper. It's like the season openers for college football. Don't put those in prime time. Put them at 11 a.m.
That's a very, very, very good comparison. Yeah, and it was Alves making his debut. He was a really athletic, jacked guy.
Yeah, no, and honestly, like, he put up a great battle in the first round. Like, you could tell that he knew, like, hey, I'm overmatched, so I just gotta like throw caution to the wind here.
Guns a-blazing, yeah.
Yeah.
And he connected too. He connected stiff, which really proved Ismagulov's chin.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ismagulov has a good chin, and dude, he's relentless. Like, he's in on the takedowns. Like, your stereotype steps, like Eurasian like fighter that like is just relentless with his pressure, his takedowns, and then his ground and pound was nasty.
Yeah, man, I go back and forth on this, man, because Ismagulov, he's 22-1. Like I said, he was a minus 590 favorite, and I thought he looked fantastic. However, it did go the distance. Now, and it wasn't 30-27.
I was going to say, I mean, as the fight went on, he actually started to gas later on, and Alves actually, I thought, took advantage.
So it's like, I don't know how to feel about this one because, I mean, there's so much to like there.
I don't think he lived up to 590 hype.
Me neither, bro. And like the technique was crisp, and like the fundamentals were sound, and he, you know, the cardio looked like it started to fade a little bit.
That was the question. But he was also beating the hell out of him for 10 minutes to start.
Yeah, great points, great point. And Alves looked like a very explosive athlete. They said definitely a dangerous guy in there.
Explosive.
So I could see a little bit of Lewis Ngannou 1 where, like, you know, he just wasn't trying to be stupid and walk into an absolute bomb, and kind of played it safe a little bit and just kind of pieced him up and played the technique game. But, I mean, like I said, Ismagulov 1 and 2, 10-9. I don't think there's any debate there. And like I said, but Alves in round 3, he was a little bit fresher. He was landing hard. He landed a pretty decent knee in there. It was kind of a little bit too little, too late. But I did respect, you know, just going for it and going for the finish and not accepting the L and not being intimidated by the huge money line. And, you know, I think Alves, you know, he obviously didn't do everything perfect, but I don't think he has anything to hang his head about.
Yeah, and I mean, if he is a real plus 410 underdog in that, he looked great for being plus 410.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Essentially, like, I think from where Vegas' stock wasn't on him, it can only go up.
Well, and I guess that's the ultimate question in this fight before we move on, because Damir Ismagulov does win as a all unanimous 29-28 times 3 unanimous.
I scored it that way as well.
Yeah, we both scored it that way. So there's not much to break down on that front, except for what do you think this was? Ismagulov kind of laying an egg, or do you think it was Alves kind of out kicking his coverage?
So I think a lot of it might have been like adrenaline dump to start, like UFC debut, big moment, like you really need this. Big favorite as well. Like, I know that sounds crazy to say, but like in a fight when you're a big favorite, that's not as easy as when you're a big favorite in a football game, and it's still not easy in a football game even. But at least you share that responsibility as a team. Like when it's just you in there, it's like, fuck, like I'm supposed to destroy this guy. Like that either gives you confidence or it gives you pause.
Yeah, it's so crazy how different athletes handle that. Because like I played with guys that were like, oh, you know, I'm not gonna work hard this week because we're playing the fucking Jokers. But
no, my thing was always like get better this week and like practice
mine was
what
stat
you need to get better.
Week.
Yeah,
mine was stat pad week. Like, how many
like,
sacks can I get? How many tackles can I force a fumble? Like, can I do some shit that, like, because, like, when we were playing, like a jinx or a broken arrow, I was like, no, I got to be fundamentally sound. Like,
stick to the game plan.
I'm not
every
punching
play,
for no
read
balls.
Your
keys.
Like,
like I'm being, And so when we were playing the trash squad, I was like, okay, now's the time to, you know, swag out a little bit. But that can be dangerous if you're talking fight.
It can bite you.
Yeah,
it can bite you bad.
Sure.
Because, like, in football, you get 60 minutes, and if they punch an 80-yard run on you, cool, you might still beat them 60-7, and they got that one. If you get starched in one shot, you're done.
In fighting, that 80-yard run is your chin.
Right. It's your night. Like, it's like, fuck.
For sure, man. So
big pressure on him. So I'll give him a little bit of a pass. I do want to see him expand on it in his next fight, and I need to see that cardio be a little better if he's going to push the pace like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't even think we mentioned that whole time they were fighting in the lightweight division. So that's obviously relevant because we know how deep that division is, which is cool because there's no shortage of talented guys for Ismagulov to fight, and you don't necessarily have to rush him. You know, there's you know, a million killers down there.
A lot of guys to build him with.
Yeah, for sure. And we can keep it pushing, man. On these prelim fights, we got David Dvorak, which hard to not think of Dusty Dvorak when you
I know.
Shout out to my OU Sooners fans out there, them real OG Sooners fans. But David Dvorak, actually the 11th ranked flyweight, fighting on the second fight of the card, fighting Juan Camilo Ronderos, who only has 4 professional fights. He's won them all. Dvorak minus 590 favorite again, which is not the randomest number to just like keep coming. Like that was like 590 2 times in a row.
I don't get how one was plus 410 and the other was plus 400. Like, can we not just call it 6 and 4? Like, that's not a cool split, Vegas.
Yeah, right. I guess they were trying to work the numbers on that one. But
Ridiculous.
Ronderos, last minute last minute replacement. He had literally less than 12 hours to make weight, and I think he gained his weight by like 2 pounds. But
I completely forgave that.
Yeah, you got to be a real cunt to hold that against him. So fighting at flyweight, and man, it was quick work. Like, now this fight is how I thought the last. This is how a minus 590 is supposed to look. Just quick work. You don't belong in the octagon with me. Now, I guess it was like, I guess if you do believe in the rankings, him being the 11th ranked fighter, fighting a guy that has 4 professional fights. Like I said, that was concerning to me. Like I said, whenever Rafael Alves. I didn't write down his record, but I think he had like 15 fights. Like, it wasn't like he was just a fish out of water. But when I saw 11 versus, like, I don't even know need to know anything about the guy. It could be an amazing fighter. Like, it could have been Khabib on Khabib's 4th fight. You know what I'm saying? A guy with 4 professional fights fighting essentially a top 10 guy. This is what it's supposed to look like. So, like, I mean, I'm not giving Ronderos a pass, but I mean, I guess I am, and I guess I'm really trying to give more credit to Dvorak for handling this.
Yeah, because honestly, he looked sharp on the feet. He had the power differential, speed differential, better movement, better striking. Got the takedown, immediately got his back, put hooks in,
and got a one-arm rear naked.
Right, like every part about it was just dominant. Like, he just literally slid to every position.
You got the style points, you had the fundamentals, you outclassed them, and you beat them up, and you subbed him, so you managed to get him out there without just completely ruining that guy's next 4 months. Or whatever.
Like dude can come fight again in a month against a guy that's actually on his quality of level.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, shout out to Ronderos, for taking that fight on that notice. I mean, like, what are you going to do? Tell Dana White no if you're a fighter whose your dream is to fight in the UFC one day? I mean, he had to know he probably was biting off more than he can chew, but you got to hope, which he didn't really do this, but I guess the hope there isn't even really to win. It's just to, like, look good enough to get another call.
Yeah.
The next time they need a short notice replacement.
That's exactly right.
Like a Justin James recipe. That's our guy. That's the template.
I literally was going to say his name. Like, I was going to say his name. Like, we take the fight on 12 hours notice. Why? Because you might land a KO punch at plus 400 and get a career.
Yeah, no, seriously. Who needs Neuralink, bro? We're in sync right now. But yeah, man. So David Dvorak gets a submission victory, 2 minutes 18 seconds into the first round. Covers as the minus 590 favorite. I imagine he doesn't move up too much in the rankings for being the one Camilo Ronderos. But
I do love Dvorak's story though, because he used to be a chess champion.
Oh, yeah, and his dad was an Undertaker, like a real-life Undertaker. It was so funny. Nina was like, the Undertaker? I was like, no, and Undertaker.
Yes, right. Like, no, his career and profession, not the wrestler.
Yeah, no, so that was funny. But his nickname's the Undertaker. So I don't know, that's kind of cool. Interesting guy. I mean, a guy, I mean, call me casual if you want. I had no idea David Dvorak was the 11th ranked flyweight and threatening for a top 10. Like, hey, you crucify me if you want. Just doesn't really ring a bell. Like, I don't know. Just
it's flyweight. It's
flyweight, and it's just he's like from some random European country. Like, but he spoke good English. It's that's a hard division to predict, and it's really hard to learn much from a fight like that. So that being said, we will keep it pushing to Joshua Kolobau versus Shayalan Nwerdembeke. Probably Nwerdembeke. And fighting at featherweight. And this fight I thought was really entertaining. Kolobau came in as minus 265. Shayalan is what we're going to call him from here on out. Was making his debut at plus 200. This is another one. These Chinese names be whooping the UFC website makers' ass, bro. They be whooping their ass. Like, I had my notes written down before the fight. And it had Shaw as the first name on the website, Yalan as the last name, like separated with a space and a capital. And then I like
Shaw Yalan Nwerdembeke. They didn't even put it on the website?
They didn't put Nwerdembeke. And then so like whenever they're announcing like Nwerdembeke fighting next, it's like, oh fuck, is this like a last minute replacement? Did a fight get scratched? And I was like, oh my god, these dumbasses put Shaw Yalan as the first and last name. But yeah, so they'd be whooping the UFC's ass. It cracks me up every time. But, apparently Shaw Yalan, good wrestling credentials coming out of China, which, was essentially his downfall. He proved to be a pretty one-dimensional fighter with a limited game plan that once that game plan failed, didn't really have much else. He it's like a pitcher that can throw 100 but don't got a curveball. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
yes.
If they start cracking your heater, you don't really got much else to go to.
Yeah. Honestly, like I did score the first to Shayilan. It was close.
Me too. It was close, and I believe that like a lot of people. I think the broadcast was trying to maybe argue against that, but the judges agreed with us. So
and I think most of Twitter agree with us. I think the judges were putting a little bit too much credit on Kolobau's striking and not enough on the fact that Nurdenbeke pretty much decided where the fight took place the first round.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, granted, he only got 2 takedowns out of the 7 he tried in the first round?
I think it was 1 for 6
1
in
for
the
6.
first. But
yeah.
in that, we talk about that all the time on the podcast of how do you score that? Because in reality, that's really Kolobau doing an outstanding fucking job.
Yeah.
That 1 takedown, he's got right back up.
Exactly.
So that's really, if you know fighting, that's really a plus for Kolobau.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
The judges have essentially been instructed to not reward takedown defense. It's
crazy.
It's considered cage control, which you can make an argument for, and putting a guy on the defense, I guess there's an argument for that. But
right. It's like throwing strikes that miss. Like at least you're throwing the strikes.
It's kind of like volume, interpreted in the same way as like a strike volume would be interpreted. I feel it, and the ring control part of it's kind of undeniable. So yeah, we both saw it the same way. But yeah, like I said, great take. And honestly, Kolobau kind of sacrificed round 1 on the scorecards to tire him out and crack his game plan. And you know what I'm saying?
It was weather the storm and then win the last 10.
Yep, and that's exactly what he executed because he outclassed them by a wide margin on the feet. If it was a striking match, it wouldn't even have been competitive.
And I felt like the rounds got further and further apart.
Yes, definitely. And what I thought was just the most important part of this fight, more than really any particular punch that was thrown, was just the overall dismantling of Shayilan's game plan. He came in with a strictly wrestling heavy game plan, and Kolobau caused him to stop shooting and to stop wrestling.
Yeah, I don't know if he shot a takedown, maybe 1 in the 3rd round, but for example, or for reference, comparison's sake, whatever the word is, 6 takedown attempts in the first round, 1 for 6. 6 more attempts in the second round, and I don't think he got any of those. I think he was 1 for 12 at that point.
Yeah.
And then in the 3rd round, shoots maybe 1 or 2 more. I think finishes 1 for 14 on takedowns. It's or 2 for 15. But once again, Kolobau right back up on that second one. I didn't even really count it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's all any of the ones that did land, he got right back up. Yeah, I mean, outstanding takedown defense from Kolobau. Man, Kolobau looks good. He looks really good.
Looks sharp in there.
Because, man, he figured it. The good strikers, you need to know how to scramble and have takedown defense, but you don't really have to incorporate offensive wrestling. You don't have to. And I feel like that's where some of these strikers, when they say they try to get well-rounded, all of a sudden they're trying to pull guard or shoot double legs. And it's no, you don't necessarily got to take it that far. You can just be a striker that can scramble and take down defense. See Izzy Adesanya.
I was going to say, dude, the poster child for you're a great striker and you don't want to get taken down. Well, just do exactly what Izzy does. Defensive wrestle and keep your distance. Manage your footwork and defensive wrestling. And that's it.
Yeah, no, and Kolobau, man, like I said, I really respected it was a philosophical victory that Kolobau had last night. You know what I mean?
Honestly, a stylistic breakdown.
Yeah, because I don't want to say he broke Shayilan's will, because Shayilan fought till the last minute, but he definitely broke his strategy and game plan and martial arts style 100%.
Yeah, and honestly, it's almost like halftime adjustments for other sports comparisons, right? But essentially, it was you knew that would be the game plan. And that if they did X in the first half, Y is the answer in the second half. So you already came with a prepared plan to execute. Yeah,
and speaking of that, speaking of second half, Kolobau wins 2-3, 10-9 on both of our scorecards and on all 3 judges' scorecards. No controversy here. And I gotta say, I think I have one hill to die on. But overall, as much as we've been bitching about the judging, pretty solid, and the reffing too. I don't really have any bones to pick. We've been complaining a lot lately. I think that everybody on that front kind of did their job last night, which is all we ask. You know,
we got real refs last night, so that helps.
Yeah, Vegas is so much better than Texas.
The Texas shit, man, it's just unacceptable. But on a separate note, speaking of judging, before we get to the next fight, Sal D'Amato went on a podcast and explained his scoring, giving 10-8 to Chandler in the first round versus Oliveira.
Was it just that he almost hadn't finished?
Essentially, yeah. And he was saying that he was dominant in so many positions, and he was saying that even though Oliveira had his back, at no point was Chandler in any threat. So he was like,
"Oh, get the fuck out of here! Charles Oliveira's on your back, and you're not in threat. Get the fuck out of here! You just pretty much snitched on yourself that you don't know what you're talking about, D'Amato."
Well, he was saying from the way he was defending, he wasn't a threat because he had one of his hands grabbed at all times.
Fuck that.
Because they pushed back on that too on the show.
Insert any other lightweight, I'll probably won't push it back. Charles Oliveira on your back's a threat.
Yeah, the most submissions in UFC history.
Get the fuck out of here, Charles Oliveira.
But then he also said that with how close Chandler got to finishing the fight, he thought that that swung the lever in the way of 10-8. And then he also said, which is I fucking hated hearing this. He goes, but after having watched it in replay from the different, from the video perspective, like what we have at home, he was like, I might be more persuaded to a 10-9.
Oh, what a cop!
I was like, wow.
Way to say nothing, D'Amato. Oh man. I guess. Hey, I respect him for putting his name on it, though, and how many judges are out there giving interviews and explaining that?
And he more broke down the fact that the wording of how they are taught to score the 10-8, the actual wording, is what would give him the criteria to be able to do that. He was saying that from an actual perspective of if he was just going to score that as a fight without criteria, he was it's probably a 10-9. But based on the wording of how we are to score a 10-8.
Lawyer ball. I get it. And like I said, at the end of the day, I would rather him say that than say nothing. I know I was pretty harsh on it, but that was my knee-jerk reaction. And I do believe that it's false to say that Charles Oliveira on anybody's back is not a threat. I think that is just fundamentally not a true
That was
statement.
crazy to say.
So that's what kind of elicited that strong of a response from me. But at the same time, I do respect him kind of putting his name on it and explaining it. It was close. It was not like it was an inconceivable 10-8. No, he beat his ass pretty bad. But I'm just saying, if you beat someone's ass pretty bad, but then they also take your back, that's a 10-9. I don't know.
And what's weird is he even said that the other judge, I think Michael Bell was the other one that gave it or Chris Bell, gave it
he's the one that we don't like, right?
Yeah. He's the other one that gave it a 10-8. And he said they talked about it after the fight, and they both were like, I could see it be they both were it could be a 10-9, but they both agreed. They lawyerballed themselves into their 10-8s. Because of the wording of the rule.
And I know we're not professionals, but we are humans, and they're humans. And there's been times where I've done that on the podcast. I score something one way, and you either convince me otherwise, or I watch the fight a second time. And
I also think where they sit to see, their perspective makes such a big difference.
Yeah, true that. And I've always thought that, in any sporting event, it's always thought that front row is the best seats in the house. But I've always disagreed. Mm-hmm. Give me second. Second
mid-tier.
Level. Yeah, mid-tier. When I go to baseball games, second level, either third base or first base line, best seat in the house.
Let me ask you, why are the press boxes where they're at? You know what I'm saying? In basketball, they're literally in the center middle of the seating in a box.
Yeah.
In football
center
middle.
They're a little high, but
that's on. But football's a way big field.
Yeah, true that. Yeah.
Hockey, same thing as basketball.
I hate being low on a football field, or
it's
in
the
the
worst.
End zone, or in a corner of the end zone,
under the goalpost.
And they be trying to charge more for those seats. I'd rather take the $80 ticket. Literally when I go to Niners games, the tickets are pretty expensive. I'll be all the way at the top, but 50-yard line. Fuck it, it's the same view you get on TV.
100%. And I will say too, for basketball, I don't hate tunnel seats because the interaction is so much more close in basketball versus football.
I bet it's like that with UFC too, man. I bet
100%, dude.
So cool
dog on the walkout, right up on the edge,
that would be so
dapping
epic.
them up. That would be fire. Maybe get hats and shit.
So me and Nina are moving to Nevada here like in a couple months, and like I already got her like because so a year ago now we bought these like $600 Ariana Grande tickets.
Oh my god!
And we went. It's her favorite artist, but I was like, okay, I get mine whenever Connor or Nate or somebody we're going to Vegas, and I get mine. So it's gonna happen. I'm gonna see my first in-person UFC show sooner rather than later. Cannot wait. But we got a really important fight to get to. We got to hop back into these. We got Bruno Silva minus 385 fighting Victor. Is it Rodriguez? I imagine it is.
No, Rodriguez.
It's Rodriguez.
He's Mexican. Okay, trains out of Alaska.
There's rules to this shit. Victor Rodriguez plus 290, and they're fighting at flyweight. And man, Bruno Silva, another example of this is what you're supposed to make a huge money line look like.
I mean, Bruno Silva looked great. Another 125 fight, like you'd said. But, dude, the combination that he put Rodriguez down with was so sick. The big right that landed like on the ear, maybe right off the back of the ear.
And then before that, the clinch knee.
No, that came right after.
Oh, it came after?
First right dazes him. Then he's dazed. That's what allows him to get the clinch. Hard knee.
Yeah, them flexible little 125-pound knees came right up there.
Rodriguez clearly hurt. Hurt. The exact same right comes, except this time he lands it flush, like on the front of the face.
Puts it down.
Clean. So right hand, right knee, right hand. Sick. It was sick.
like video game, like boom, boom, boom. Like it was so fire. It was gorgeous. And it earned him $50,000. Bruno Silva got the performance of the night bonus for that.
He deserved it.
And I'll be real. At the end of the card, whenever they announced who got the bonuses, my knee-jerk reaction was like, "Oh, I don't know. I can think of some people that deserve it more than Bruno Silva, i.e., the main event." But I don't know. That was pretty goddamn impressive, and it happened literally exactly 1 minute into the first round.
And it was a saucy combo.
It was saucy, yes. Like that's gonna make a viral video
that's
for UFC to promote.
UFC can make a bunch of money off that clip.
And I think it does a lot. I think it matters that it's a flyweight too, because what's the knock on flyweights? It's not exciting. It's not dangerous. It's not powerful. Like that looked pretty, and that's what I wrote down in my note that kind of stood out that I'll try to remember about Bruno Silva moving forward is that not all flyweights have power. It's like not all strawweights have power. So it's like power in the heavyweight divisions a dime a dozen. Same pretty much goes for middleweight and up. But if you got like actual like knockout power in the flyweight division, I mean you can ascend pretty quickly.
Oh yeah. Speaking of heavyweights, I can't wait to get to the heavyweight fight that we have on this card.
Yeah, we actually had some good heavyweight fights, which I'm glad. We also had a shit show one, but yeah, we'll keep it pushing. Bruno Silva covers minus 385, gets $50,000 points of the night. A flyweight with power is always somebody to keep your eye on, and we'll keep it pushing. Man, this next fight we got the old heads, the old dogs fighting. We got Court McGee. We got a true Vegas pick'em, minus 110 on both sides, fighting Claudio Silva. I think like 36 versus 38, fighting welterweight. And I gotta say,
Vegas missed on this, by the way.
Vegas missed hard on this, and also I really enjoyed this fight. This was one of those fights where before the fight I was kind of rolling my eyes and like, damn, do we really need to put this one on a night where we got 14 fights? You know what I'm saying?
I was thinking the same thing. When it rolled around, I was like, because it's about, for me when this fight came on, it was like 1:15 because I got to watch 4 fights before I went to work, which was sick. It was great.
Yeah, because it started early as fuck.
Yeah, and I didn't work till 6 last night, so but it got off a little later. Either way, so when I got home, it's like 1:30, 1:40 when I'm putting this fight on, and I'm just like, why can't this just be the heavyweights and the rest of the card? Like I literally thought to myself, like, has it got to be this fight?
Yeah,
and then but then I got into it.
Excited for it, but it was such a good fight. Like I enjoyed
it. Court McGee brought it, and like in his last few fights, he had been a little like, in my opinion, too tame, maybe if you want to say that.
Yeah.
Or like too complacent, maybe, or just not the right guy.
He admitted it. Like I think he said something like he just didn't have enough want to, or I think he literally used words like that himself.
Yeah, and what's funny is like. So, story of the fight is, I mean, for me, I don't know if it's true for you, he dominated. Like, for me, I had him winning every round. Second round, I even had it 10-8 for him.
Me too. All right,
okay,
I wanted to discuss that with you. The damage.
So the damage was huge. Like he was controlling rounds 1 and 3 and 2, but the damage that occurred in 2 differentiated that round from 1 and 3.
100%.
Okay, so we completely perfect. So I literally wrote in my notes in all caps, all Court McGee at the end of the fight.
Yeah.
But like for him to be a minus.
My bad. One quick that helped secure the 10-8 for me. That Silva was pretty much saved by the bell. That triangle was deep. That fight was going to end in 5 more seconds. So I think that was the exclamation point on the 10-8. Sorry, I just wanted to get that.
No, you're good. You're good. And honestly, if the cage had been if this wasn't the apex, that fight is over. You know why? Because there's an extra foot right there, and you can hop out to the right and actually end it with the actual correct position on the arm triangle. He had to stay in full mount in it because the cage was blocking him from hopping out. Otherwise, he would have ended the fight in the 5 minutes.
Great additions to the breakdown.
So, in his post-fight press conference, he talked about how his neighbor across the street is like this 75-year-old woman that he does a bunch of her yard work for, and
I missed this.
Oh yeah. So this he was like shout out to this woman, and I was like, who is? It's said her last name, and I was like, that's not his wife, because his wife's last name would be McGee.
Yeah.
I would think, and then. He was like, yeah, her husband passed away a couple of years ago, so I've just been pretty much doing all the yard work for her and stuff. And then she told me the other day that, your nickname's the Crusher, but you're such a nice guy. That doesn't really make sense to me. She was like, you need to be like a superhero when you go in there, and just be the Crusher when you're in there, because you're not a Crusher outside. And he was like, it struck him weird, I guess. And he was like, so I took it to heart. And he was like, now whenever I step in there, he was like, I'm just not myself. I'm the Crusher.
Oh, no.
All right. Fuck yeah. If that works, it works.
He looked good. And I loved that after round 2, before round 3, his corner gave him not one piece of X's and O's advice. They were like, this is how you feed your kids.
Yo, dude.
That shit was intense. I was like,
yeah.
And especially his background, he used to be homeless and battled addiction and has surgeries with non-narcotic surgeries, and
because he doesn't want to have any sort of addictive problems ever again.
Yeah, he's an easy guy to root for. I'll put it that way.
For sure.
And I gotta say, it was Tim Duncan-esque, right? There was enough athleticism, but the fundamentals were so goddamn.
It was just all technique and position.
I don't think he really needs to fight anymore young, explosive lions. You know what I'm saying? But against other guys in his age bracket, other vets. I mean, like I said, his technique and I mean, he's a strong guy. He's just not as quick or fast twitch. You know what I mean? He's getting a little older, but the fundamentals are so sound, and he's strong and he's tough as shit too.
I feel like technique and position and power are so undervalued as far as now. That's not true at the heavier weights. The heavier you get, the more that is valued, because essentially at heavyweight that you don't have to have anything else but those 3 things. You could be 20 or 40, and if you have power, position, and technique, you can win all your fights.
Yeah.
But in lower weights, you typically need to have your athleticism and springiness about you. So at 170, it's interesting to see Court McGee be able to do that. Honestly, I was impressed. Now, granted, Claudio Silva's kind of old.
He looked in pretty bad shape. His cardio was dog shit.
After the fight, Claudio Silva was talking to Court McGee, and he was talking to him, and he was thanking him, and he was saying, I learned a lot from this fight. Thank you. I'm going to progress from this. I appreciate it. And I was like, that's a good thing to hear. He's taking this loss the right way.
Oh, when you've been fighting as long as they have, I mean, I'm sure that's how you got to learn how to take your L's at that point, for sure. I do want to point out that one judge, I think, gave a round to Silva. But he also gave a 10-8, because one judge scored a 29-27.
Gave a 10-8, and gave the first to Silva, I believe.
I don't see how you can really give the first to Silva. That's bullshit. I mean, the right guy won. That's a real hair to split, but that just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, I was thrown off by the 29-27 as well.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely want to touch on that. But yeah, we're keeping pushing these heavyweights, because I'll be real, I wasn't a fan of this fight. I could have done without it. I mean, I'm happy for the winner. He kind of kept his career back on track. But I thought this fight was. Honestly,
this fight made no sense.
It was beneath the UFC. I'll say that. Call it
snobbish. This fight was an LFA fight. That's what they put an LFA guy against a UFC guy and told us it was a fight. A prelim main event, in fact.
Yeah. And,
I got problems with the positioning. The card positioning.
The card positioning, yeah, exactly. And yeah, just it was obvious. It was a gap. He was a D leaguer, right? It looked like a D
Yeah,
leaguer.
bro.
Everything about it, and like they were just trying to. All they would talk about was how cool his personality was. Like, here's the thing. I don't give a shit. If you
hey, bro,
can't
can you fight?
perform,
Because that's Ben Rothwell. That's a real fucking heavyweight.
Yes, and I mean, like I said, on one hand, I mean, I'm sure Ben Rothwell wasn't complaining. You know, he needed a win, and he got tossed this joker.
I mean, he got cracked a couple times, ate a few big body kicks, but honestly, man, the shots Rothwell was landing, I was going to put Barnett up for chin of the year. Some of the shots he was eating to just keep coming forward, because Ben Rothwell's put so many heavyweights to sleep that have great chins.
Yeah, all right, so we got Ben Rothwell, minus 335 favorite, fighting Chris Barnett, making his debut at plus 250, which honestly, that seems a little small after watching. Hindsight's 2020. And then he was a 5'9" heavyweight, and like he's coming in, apparently has some wild stories, a real funny guy, real flamboyant guy. He used to be like 360 pounds and would fight in like open weight fights and stuff like that. And just kind of like, I guess you could say like a sideshow type fighter, like I guess. And like
that is kind of what he looks like. No offense to Chris Barnett, but like, dog, just get a little bit better diet and you could be really good.
Yeah, Bilal Muhammad was like, he needs to fall in love with salad. I think that's what he said after the fight. But yeah, they're fighting a heavyweight. And this was Ben Rothwell's like 52nd pro fight or something like that. So just an absolute just veteran of the game fighting.
52nd professional fight. That's right.
And like I said, so I mean, Rothwell even admitted himself if he lost that fight, he's probably looking at getting cut. You know, he needed a win. Barnett, he was trying to make a splashy debut. Because I mean, like Ben Rothwell, that's a name. If Barnett would have somehow would have been able to pull off the victory, I mean, it would have legitimized him, which is exactly what I guess he was trying to do, and what
that's exactly
definitely
what didn't
happen.
He was just trying to come out and get a highlight because you could tell by 4 minutes he was done.
Oh,
like he was gassed for 4 minutes, dude. It was embarrassing.
That might be generous to give him 4. Like, I mean, he came out, did a couple. Like, honestly, it looked like a street fight. Like, it looked like some world star shit. He was just like a fat guy. He was just doing this, and like usually I'm like exaggerating when I'm saying this, but like
no, he was throwing all hooks.
Like just this, like and he did the thing that like middle schoolers do in fights, where you just like put your head down like this. It was just awful to watch. I said that's why I said it was beneath the UFC. Like it wasn't beneath the UFC that he was fat, or that he was funny, or that he was short, or that he came from a small promotion. That's all well and good. But the guy couldn't like throw a 1-2, like you know what I mean. Like he looked like he had never been to a day of boxing class.
Like his technique was not like Ben Rothwell.
Like he had literally zero jiu-jitsu once he got on his back. Now, granted, once he got on his back, he was probably too gassed, even if he had jiu-jitsu, and he had a gigantic human being on top of him. But I'm just saying, like there was like no really plus boxes to check. Now, did he move well? Well, guess what? He was literally Mark Smith was about to stop the fight.
He was about to stop the fight because he kept turning his back.
And running.
It was
like
the most
sprinting.
street fight shit I've ever seen in my life.
It was literally like a parking lot of Waffle House at like 2 a.m. That's like near a ratchet strip club. Like that's literally was like how his fighting style was. And
I appreciate Mark Smith stepping in and saying, "Chris, do not turn your back."
He was like, yeah. Well, because then what happens? If Rothwell hits him in the back of the head or something, they're gonna try to cry no contest or whatever. Whenever you're literally sprinting in the opposite direction,
like you're running away from the fight. Like you're like a ref would take a point for like if you think about inactivity, that's worse than inactivity. Like you're literally evading
negative activity. Yeah. Mark Smith was not having. I'm glad he was the ref. Like if that would have been,
me too.
Imagine if one of those random Texas
fucking
jokers,
Herb Dean,
or
Herb Dean would have let it slide.
Or if just that would have been a nightmare. I'm glad.
Texas Jokers would have been fucking Montalvo or fucking Beltron or Rex Road. That'd have been a fucking joke.
Yeah, and it made me so happy at the end of the first round when Rothwell kind of got him in a tie clinch and was just
landed uppercuts,
landing so flush. I was like, yeah, that's what you get for turning and running. You just literally get your head grabbed.
But, bro, that's what I'm talking about for chin of the year is like he ate like 18 uppercuts throughout the course of the first and second before it got ended and only got ended because he was just gassed.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. I'm so tense. I don't want to give this guy like.
I mean, we're not going to put him up, but he is like, I got it written.
No, I'm glad you brought it up. It's worth being said, but I'm also glad I'm not the one that said it.
Like he's not a prime cut, but he might be a choice cut. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel it, man. I feel it. And like I just also have in my notes that Barnett can't compete at this level, Hail Mary withstanding. Like
yes, right. Like he's Doug Flutie. Flutie.
If he does this, and it lands against the lower end heavyweight, it may knock him out.
Or even Ben Rothwell in the right spot.
Yeah, but like,
what are your chances of that?
And I'm not trying to just, like I said, there was 14 fights on the card last night, I think, and it should have been 13, or Ben Rothwell should have got a real opponent. Like I said, no, I'm sure Ben Rothwell's happy. He got to fight a guy that doesn't know how to fight. He got to save his career. He got to cash a check. He gets a finish record, so that's even better than getting a decision. It proves that he can still be a dangerous fighter. Like, I'm sure Ben Rothwell's, sitting fat and happy. And then, Barnett's probably the type of guy that's like, I mean, shit, it was Rothwell in my debut. I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't. I didn't like the cut of his jib. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it was like a bad taste to end. Like, granted, Rothwell wins by submission. Like, I don't know if it was Anaconda or 10-finger guillotine. It was one of the two. But
yeah, I think it technically went down as a guillotine. But yeah, he choked him out, and it was the classic definition of what Chael Sonnen describes, like when somebody taps, it's like they found
that was a give up. That was
I
quit.
Yeah, like seriously, he couldn't wait to tap. I'll put it that way.
I almost thought that Claudio Silva was giving Court McGee the I give up in the second round, to be quite honest with you, in their fight. Like, whenever he got that arm triangle is not a choke that most guys get finished with if they're any good on the ground. There's so many ways to defend it.
And Silva, he kind of got a little second wind, I think. But yeah, man, Rothwell, he gets the win. I said, yeah, it was a shitty way to end the prelims. But honestly, that flavor got rinsed out of your mouth real fucking fast, because the first fight on the main card was Hermansson Shabazian, which I kind of honestly had a little bit of a problem with the card
placement. It was all fucked.
I thought so too.
It should have been the co-main, I think. Feature. Sorry, I forgot what the co-main was. Feature for sure, though. For sure, the feature.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
Like I said, after watching Rothwell Barnett, I was super happy to get like a quality fight.
But
like I said, get that taste out of my mouth.
This wasn't on Big ESPN either, was it? This was an ESPN Plus only card, right?
I believe so. Because there was a ton of other sports going on last night.
So why on earth, the NBA playoffs? Why would you fuck the NBA? Kind of. Why would you put this fight to start whenever it's for hardcores or subscribers? Like, you're not doing it for marketing purposes. You're just doing it at this point to put it at the front of the card. Like, I think they
literally might have known that Rothwell Barnett had huge stinker potential. I think they knew
they just had to get him back.
Like, hey, we gotta make people forget about that fast. But
God damn it!
Hell of a matchup, hell of a fucking fight. Fucking pendulum swinging back and forth. Each round had a life of its own.
Yeah, 100%.
I loved this fight, man.
You know what?
I had it circled going in, and it delivered.
You know what? Coming out of this fight, I like Shabazian a lot more. I like Hermansson a fuck ton more.
Yeah, I like both of these fighters more. You're right.
And Shabazian has a weird rib cage. Those are my biggest takeaways.
You'll have to explain that when we get to it. But this is what I want to go round by round. We haven't been doing too much round by round to this point, but this fight, I love this fight.
Yeah, well, it'll be important to go round by round on this one.
Yeah, for sure. So we got Jack Hermansson, the 7th-ranked middleweight, at a -150 favorite. First not huge money line of the night besides McGee and Silva. And then we got Edmund Shabazian, +120. He's ranked 10, and it can't be overstated, even though it's brought up all the time. He's 23 fucking years old. Just so impressive and insane, and you kind of do have to factor it in.
Real fast.
Okay, yeah.
Before we dive into the breakdown of him,
yeah.
Did you hear the girls that were screaming for him whenever he got introduced?
No.
He was the only oh, dude, it was weird. It was super weird because I watched it on my computer with like the volume turned up, and so like I could hear like a bunch of extra stuff I usually don't hear on my TV just because I guess the sound's not as good. I don't know, whatever it was. Like there were like a core group of like it was definitely 3 to maybe 4 different girls' voices. They were all screaming for him whenever he got introduced, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, who did he bring here? Why is no one else cheering for the fighters? But like, he gets. It was weird. It like struck me as odd.
Well, he is like the little golden boy. Like I can see sliding him a few tickets for the fam or some.
Yeah, I was like, did he get to like bring his girl and her friends? Like, what the fuck is this?
They love Shabazian. The UFC has proven it time and time again that they would love it for Shabazian to, go to the moon.
They want him to be on a rocket.
Yeah, they do,
but
man.
Fuck that.
And I mean, he's good. But you know what? And I'm not trying to give too much away because we're going to go round by round. But you know what just completely changed my outlook on these young fighters, man, that I've really had to evaluate, and I'm not, like, throwing in the towel on any guys. It's Charles Oliveira, man.
Yeah.
Like
you're right.
What if Shabazian – so he's 23. Charles Oliveira won the belt at 31. He started off young like Shabazian. Everybody thought – Charles Oliveira was mediocre or trash or a quitter or whatever back when he was Shabazian's age. And then, so I'm just saying, what if in like 7 years, in 29, Shabazian, he has some ups and downs and he just like, now he's like a veteran and he's fixed all the holes in his game and he
fixed his rib cage.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. He said just the Charles Oliveira becoming champion has really like made me kind of change my tune on like young fighters and like, you never know how these stories end.
That's
know what I'm
fair.
saying?
That's super fair.
But let's dive into this. So it's a fight at middleweight. Like I said, top 10 matchup. All the real MMA fans had this one circled. And yeah, let's dive in because in round one, Shabazian looked so fucking good. Like,
bro, the footwork, the jab, the combos. It was like, is he the prodigy? Is this what we were supposed to be like?
Exactly,
this
bro.
This was we've been foretold?
I was like, this is what they were selling me. This is what, this is like when you go for that test drive and you're driving and you're like, oh shit, the salesman, this is exactly what he wasn't blowing smoke up my ass. You know what I mean? You like the way that car felt when you were driving, and for sure that was round one for
I even wrote easy 10-9. Like I didn't even think it was like hard to score. Like was like clearly a 10-9.
Yeah, the strikes were so crisp, so snappy.
The jab was just popping Hermansson's face too.
And then just like we were talking about earlier with Kulabau, what does a striker have to do? He doesn't necessarily have to offensively wrestle, but the takedown defense and the scramble game has to be on point. And he showed that in round one. Yeah, I thought his takedown defense in round one, that's what really impressed me. Because, his last fight to Brunson, and we all know what Brunson does to people, and especially strikers. And so whenever he was able, because we saw him get, Brunson for 3 rounds in his last fight.
Which sucked.
Which Brunson is pretty did it to Kevin Holland. Brunson, I mean, he can do that to people. So
Brunson's kind of making a change in his career, too. Like, you're talking about Oliveira, like, he's kind of on that same steez as far as like
Till, which we're going to talk about the whole division. Here after this fight.
Middleweight's fun. There's fight announcements all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody's booked, which makes it crazy. All right, and then round two, man. It was like honestly, round one, I thought we were about to see like Shabazian just after round one, I was like, are we about to just watch Hermansson get dismantled and like embarrassed and outclassed? Like, is that
kind of what I was thinking too?
I was thinking like, because if it was 3 rounds like round one. You know what I'm saying? We were looking at probably a stoppage.
Well, and usually, young guy, no problem making that weight. Isn't like his frame's too big for that weight or anything. Like, it's not like he's sucking like 50 pounds. Right. So, like, for us, we're not thinking that cardio's any sort of issue, which I don't think it was. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying, like, a young guy gets ahead early, gets momentum. You don't think he's going to lose that typically.
Well, and I think, all right, so what happened is, so there was a distinctive, something happened. What I think happened, Hermansson just dug his heels in and said, enough's enough. I'm not going out like that.
Yeah. Hermansson has a crazy chin, too. Like, it's very underrated because he doesn't normally need to use it.
And heart and balls and
balls,
toughness.
too. Balls.
Like, it takes a special kind of person. Like, he got pieced up for 5 whole minutes and his takedown stuff in round one. And he just literally said enough's enough. Like I said, I wish I had some more.
But it's not even like the second round was that far apart either, though, because he did get the takedown about, 40 seconds into the round?
Yeah.
But then controlled him till about 2 minutes were left. Then Shabazian escaped out the back and started piecing him up again. So it was actually, I thought, a closer round.
It was.
I scored it for Hermanson. Don't get me wrong, because he did great damage when he was on top.
Yeah.
Like his overall damage in the round is why I scored it to him. Yeah. But as far as like position control and all that, I thought it was really 50-50.
It was a close round. Yeah, I too gave it to Hermanson. It would have been the definition of stealing a round if you gave that to Shabazian. Which,
for sure.
Like, I don't think it would have been a robbery. Like, I don't think it would have been like if somebody scored that for Shabazian, I honestly am not rolling out the hill. But we both gave it to Hermanson. I think I think the judges gave it to Hermanson as well. So yeah, I mean, Hermanson did enough, and he did. But what also I think was impressive was just like I said, the line he drew in the stand, and it's not that often you see a guy have no success go to start having success.
And I feel like in the second round he drew the line, and in the third round he like threw Hermanson off the beach, essentially.
Yeah, pushed forward, exactly. Yeah,
right. Like went over his own line.
Yes,
because
100%.
Because he dominated the third round, man. Like he got the takedown early in the round, and then didn't let Shabazian back up. Just beat the shit out of him, essentially.
Over 4 minutes of some of the most violent ground and pound. Like it was.
He cut him open on both sides of his face, and I think his nose as well.
Elbows, hammer, like just beat the shit out of him, controlled him, manhandled him. Like Shabazian, like essentially got his will, bro. And I say that because Shabazian wasn't trying to get up. Like he
wasn't doing anything to get off the
position. You always hear Bisping and them go on, and Cormier accepting the position. That was the definition of accepting the position in round 3, and he paid the price for it. He got smashed. So I scored it 29-27. All 3 judges scored it 29-27. We're all in lockstep. But what a fucking fight. I thought
great fight, dude.
Like up to this point, I thought it was fight of the night. Like I thought it was going to be.
For sure, me too. You see 29-27 and for me, I automatically think some guy came out strong and then just kind of faded and got dominated. That's not really the case here.
No, this was a fun fight to watch. The contrasting of styles, just the will, like the 2 men's will, like Hermanson's will was just like, I think a little bit stronger.
Absolutely. Did you see Hermanson's post-fight interview?
No, I don't. Man, last night was weird. I didn't get to watch a lot of the post-fight interviews and stuff.
So he's a funny guy. His nickname's the Joker. He's always like cracking jokes and shit. But at the end of the thing, like him and Felder were kind of on each other's nuts. It was like, all right, guys, calm down. But then Hermanson, Felder was like Jack Hermanson. And he was like, hey, wait, one thing. He was like, I got my curls out. Chase Hooper, Ben Askren, can I be a part of the family now or what?
That was so awesome.
And then Chase Hooper tweeted him and was like, yeah, welcome to the crew.
Yeah, no, I do remember. That was awesome, especially because, Hermanson, he's about to be like a top 5 ranked middleweight, like veteran of the game. And like Chase Hooper's like 20 years old, like, can I be a part of it? I loved it. I love the humility on Hermanson's part. I love that. I love what Chase Hooper kind of is for the UFC. Like he literally is like the little.
He's levity. He's like literally levity in a sport that's so serious and so like grave.
And so many people like him, and he's so like I don't know. Yeah, I like Chase Hooper's like role in the UFC. It's gonna be so weird and make me feel so old. Like in 10 years, whenever Chase Hooper's like the veteran, like you know what I'm saying?
It's gonna be weird. Dude. It's gonna be weird because I'll never forget whenever he went up to Masvidal at the UFC interviews after Masvidal knocked out Ben Askren, and he asked him, "Why'd you knock out my dad?"
Yeah,
and Masvidal was like, legit, like,
"I'm sorry,
bro. Like, fuck, like my bad, dude."
Oh man, I just love like his levity. All right, so let's talk about this middleweight division here because this fight had major implications. 7 defeated 10, and the cool thing about this is that like everybody's booked right now. So Izzy's fighting Vettori. Costa's booked against Cannonier. Costa's 2, Cannonier's 4. Brunson and Till are booked. That's 5 and 6. So that's literally everybody above Hermanson except for Whitaker. So Hermanson made a smart call out because
Whitaker's the only guy that makes sense, and Whitaker wants to fight in what August?
I think so, and like because it's otherwise, Whitaker is going to be waiting how long? A year, maybe longer, for if he's going to hold out for a title shot. And then the winner of Costa Cannonier, especially if it's Cannonier, is like probably, or the winner of Brunson Till is probably going to have like a maybe a better claim.
If Till wins that, he's going to have a hell of a shot at it.
Because Izzy wants Till.
Izzy wants Till.
That's what I'm saying. And the whole recency bias thing, like, what have you done for me lately? Like, by the time all that plays out, it'll have been so long since Whitaker beat Gastelum. And then you also got to factor in Whitaker beat Gastelum, which is the lowest ranked fighter out of all the guys of who would have gotten wins since then. So I think if Whitaker truly, which in my book, he is the number one contender, and he's ranked as the number one contender. But if he wants to truly solidify and hold on to that number one contender spot, I think that a win over Hermansson, and let's be real, it's like not the most like unwinnable fight for Whitaker. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, I think Whitaker wins that one for sure.
Well, and by the time they fight, Hermansson will be top 5 because these guys 5 and 6, someone's going to fall.
Yeah.
2 and 4, if it's 4 that loses, Costa, he might fall behind Hermansson as far as how that'll work out. So, like, Hermansson, I think, is pretty much a top 5 middleweight.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, no, I feel you, man. So it's super interesting. I love what's going on in the middleweight division. And then at 8, you got Uriah Hall, and he's booked. He's fighting. Who is he fighting? I could have sworn Uriah Hall was booked.
He just beat Weidman.
Oh, that's right. He just beat Weidman. So, yeah, I guess you could do Hermansson Hall. Have they fought before?
I don't believe so.
Uriah Hall. I'm going to Tapology.
There it is.
I don't know why I never used to just have my laptop up like this before. Sorry, everybody. I suck. All right, let's see here. Uriah Hall fought Costa. He lost to Costa and Brunson and Whitaker. But yeah, he's never fought Hermansson. And he's lost to Gastelum, but that was forever ago. Yeah, so Hermansson Hall,
it's a doable matchup. It just depends on what you see for Jack Hermansson in his future.
Yeah, it's hard to project
because he just fought backwards once. Why you wouldn't make him do it twice, right?
And it's also all about narrative. Like he's not as like sexy to sell as like you don't think like the UFC would much rather market Till or Costa even. I think Cannonier and Brunson from like and Hermansson from like a marketability standpoint is kind of on the outside looking in, but as we just saw with Charles Oliveira, that's not always the end-all, be-all.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes just winning is all you got to do. I mean, really, that is all you have to do. But just winning.
You become undeniable at a certain point.
Yeah. Like in Tony Ferguson's case, he got to the precipice of the championship and didn't. I mean, he did get the interim, but that is the worst-case scenario, is that you win 12 in a row and you barely get there. Most guys win 4 and they're asking to fight for the title.
Yeah, true. So, all right, we got something else we got to talk about. So last night on the broadcast, it was Felder, it was Bisping, and it was Fitzgerald. And I don't know if you saw this. You're fast forward.
2 former fighters now, and Fitzgerald.
Yeah, 2 former fighters and Fitzgerald. And I gotta say, I feel like Fitzgerald's getting like better by the week. Like he's learning. And I say that from experience. I get better by the week. Like anybody that watches this week in and week out, you learn a fuck ton. So I mean, kudos to him. I feel like he's getting so much better than even when we started the podcast, which is understandable. And then Felder, he was our commentator of the year. And then Bisping. We all acknowledge Bisping can be hard to work with, and the Felder Fitzgerald Bisping combo I think works.
It works great.
It works.
The reason I said former fighters, I thought you were going to note that Paul Felder retired officially last night.
Yeah, well, definitely leading into that. Paul Felder retired. I'm all for it. I respect the fuck out of his reasoning.
I just watched his post-fight press conference. It was fantastic.
He didn't want to hold up the division. He didn't want to. Everybody was, because essentially the elephant in the room. Nobody said names, but the Islam Makhachev.
That's what they all. And he said it. He acknowledged it in the post-fight.
Okay, yeah.
He was like, yeah, I could fight these guys, but like, and he was like, do I think I could beat him? Yeah, I think I could beat him on any given day. Can they beat me? Yeah, they could beat me. He even said Tony Ferguson, but he was like, the point of it all is like, I'm not excited to fight anyone. I don't want to get hit in the head anymore. I'm not even excited to hit mitts anymore. And that's how I know I'm done with this.
Yeah, which I respect the fuck out of. And I mean, let's be real. Paulie Felder wasn't about to get that lightweight belt. Love him.
He's acknowledged that too. He said this is the first time in my career I realized like I'm not going to get the belt, and even if I did, the run to it is so fantastic and magical that it won't happen.
Like the guy that just beat him isn't about to get the belt. RDA, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's a good measuring stick. If the guy that just beat you isn't sniffing the belt either.
Which not that close.
Yeah. And I'm not shitting on him. I love a self-aware person. Like self-aware people are probably my favorite. Like that might be one of my favorite like qualities of a person. Like if I had to like write down like my favorite like qualities in human beings and friends or whatever, any human, it's like a self-aware person. Like I hate like people that like don't know their own flaws or don't know where they're at
or can't acknowledge their weaknesses.
Yeah, can't look themselves in the mirror and be honest with themselves. Those are the most whack people to be around, to do business with, to be in relationships with. Anything involved with is the worst. So like I love self-aware people. And yeah, I loved how self-aware, how honest. I loved his reasoning. I love that it does clear up the division a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I love the pressure that it puts on the other people that denied Makhachev, because he's like, I denied Makhachev, but I had a reason. You he's like, just being pussies.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'd fight him. He's just like, I just don't love fighting. So
like, I don't want to fight anybody. Much
he's like, y'all go fight him.
Yeah.
So respect to Felder. And I do love him as a commentator. Funny enough, he had an interaction on Twitter last night where a dude tweeted at him and was like, congrats on retirement, Felder. Now stay retired. You're a better commentator than fighter. And Felder tweeted back at him, and he was like, does this make you feel good to say? Would you say this to my face, man to man? And the dude responded, no, you'd beat my ass. That's why I said it over Twitter. And Felder responds, fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. See, he's a self-aware guy. Like he respects other self-aware guys. Yeah, for sure, man. And like I said, I mean, as far as what it does for the division, Makhachev moves up to 9, I imagine, and I think Gillespie, that would move him up to 10. Kevin Lee just got a fight booked at 170 against Sean Brady, which I think is I don't know about that. Yeah,
no, not Brady. Kevin Lee. Wrong Kevin, bro. No way.
Pretty sure Kevin Lee.
Kevin Holland.
No, I think it's Kevin Lee.
That's what they said last night, though. It was Kevin Holland versus Sean Brady.
Kevin Hall? Are you sure? Am I tripping?
Yeah, look it up. Look it up.
Okay. I will look it up.
Yeah, because it's one of the Kevins. I could be wrong. I know it's a Kevin versus Sean Brady, but I could have sworn it was Kevin Holland because I was like, no way he's going to take that fight.
I don't like that matchup for either of them, to be honest.
Here, I'm going to let you look it up and we'll grab a beer while you search it.
Yeah, no worries, brother. Oh, it's Kevin Lee, cocksucker. Told y'all. I want to lie to y'all. Your boy know what he talking about. Kevin Lee. That's a tough matchup. Sean Brady is such a huge welterweight. And you're moving up from, they're like, oh, you want to be a welterweight? We're going to give you a welterweight. We're going to give you a welterweight. Oh, God damn. So you think you want to be a welterweight, huh? We're going to give you a fucking swole killer. Harrison got lost on his way to the fridge.
All right, what do we got?
Kevin Lee, bro.
Fuck. That's still a tight fight, though.
No, it's dope, but I'm just saying, like, they said you want to be a welterweight, huh? We're gonna give you a big ass fucking welterweight. Sean Brady's a beast. Welterweight. He's a beast. I know Kevin Lee's a great fighter and he's credentialed, but I'm just saying to move up to a weight class.
That's a big jump.
And we're big on Brady. No, I think it's a great fight from both terms though, because that'll be a good name for Brady to build himself off of.
And for Kevin Lee, if he beats Sean Brady, he proves that like he belongs in that division.
Welterweight, yeah. If you can beat Sean Brady, the size isn't an issue at all. Sean Brady's a very strong welterweight. Yeah, because I mean, Sean Brady has wins over Court McGee, Ismail Nurayev, Christian Aguilera, Jake Matthews. Nobody too like. I mean,
the Jake Matthews, Court McGee, and Aguilera wins are all pretty nice.
No, they're all. But Kevin Lee would by far be a different echelon. For sure. So that's interesting, man. So that's another person out of the lightweight rankings then. I mean, he's down at 12. And then yeah, so that's interesting. That's interesting. That makes the Moises Islam fight a lot more interesting because Moises moves up from 14 to 13 just by 2 guys leaving the division. So like, it looks better on paper at least.
9 versus 13 is a nice little matchup too. And like if 9 beats 13, then like 9 pretty much guarantees himself a shot at a guy that's like on top 5 or like number 6 so that he gets to be number 5. You know what I mean? Like Islam is probably this win, 1 more win. He's probably 3 wins from fighting for a belt. If Islam wins 3 fights, he's fighting for a belt. Maybe 2 if he does both in like insanely fantastic fashion.
And quick, like time-wise. You took the words out of my mouth. If he does like Chimaev or Kevin Holland style and does them like 2 and 3 months or something like that.
He can propel himself faster, but it's going to take like real shit. You know what I mean?
100%. All right, these next 3 fights, I kind of want to like, speed through a little bit because I definitely want to, give plenty of time to the co-main and main. And we've spent a lot of time on Felder and the middleweights, but
I completely agree with you. The only thing I was going to add is that the card placement's so fucked. Like these next 3 fights suck so hard, and then the last 2 were dope, and the first one was dope. I was like, why couldn't we just put Shabazian as the feature?
Yeah,
and run those last 3 as
that
the
11th
end.
ranked flyweight.
Oh yeah, Dvorak.
Dvorak probably should have been over some of these guys, but yeah. Anyway, I mean, I did enjoy the fight. And then actually, you know what? I said I want to speed through it, but this is the one we got to talk about the scoring. So, So Ricardo Ramos plus 105 underdog, Bill Algeo minus 130 favorite, fighting at featherweight. Man, it was a very, very close round 1. I had it 10-9 Ramos. Ramos had 4 out of 4 takedowns. He took his back 3 separate times. Now, I do understand the point. Algeo was probably winning the striking. Now, I had it 10-9 Ramos in round 1. How about you?
I did as well, actually. Now, granted, 4 takedowns means that Algeo was getting up pretty proficiently.
Exactly.
But, I mean, Algeo didn't lead any of the action, man. Like Ramos did everything. Like, he shot for the takedowns. He was trying to be the guy that engaged in striking, and Algeo was counter-striking him. And that's the reason he was going for the takedowns, because he was like, well, fuck, I'm not landing my strikes. So it all resonated from Ramos's original action. I definitely gave him the round.
And I did like that he was taking the back. Like he wasn't getting, and that's probably why he was probably done. He probably should have focused more on control than taking the back.
I was going to say, he was kind of sliding positions too fast.
Yeah, good point. Very good point. But all right, and round 2 is very different though. In round 2, I thought that round 1, those 4 takedowns took a lot out of Ramos's cardio. I thought round 2, Algeo was the much fresher fighter, and he started to defend those takedowns much better. And he had much higher strike output and volume. I had round 2 10-9 Algeo.
See, I actually thought that round 2 went to Ramos. I thought that Ramos's grappling was doing enough to like negate Algeo's striking advantage. Because as much as Algeo defended takedowns, he was still getting controlled on the fence at times, and like just overall like position battle as well. Like I thought Ramos continued to lead the action still.
I feel you, and I think I do this thing, and I'll admit this, when I'm scoring a fight, I think the further we get into the fight, the more I value damage and the less I value position.
I can see that.
It just kind of natural, like the sense of urgency, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And maybe that's why just kind of subconsciously I leaned Algeo. I mean, we're human. This is subjective judging. I liked what Algeo did in round 2. I think he was more dangerous than what Ramos did in round 2. I thought that if Ramos was threatening with the grappling, it would have been one of the many times he had his back. And I think that it proved to not be that dangerous to Algeo time and time again. So I had to start valuing it less and less and less. I think it's kind of how I saw it play out. All right, so that's interesting though. So you had it 2018 Ramos going, and I had it 1919 going into
Right.
And that's going to be very important. Now round 3, also very, very close round.
Yeah, I thought 3 was super close, and actually I thought it was Algeo's best round in my opinion.
I'll go with it. I had it 10-9 Algeo. I thought Algio's striking combos and his ability to put string like multiple punches and strikes together, like I'll take that over Ramos's jab and takedowns. Like the jab wasn't like that effective. It wasn't like snapping his head back. And then the takedowns, like I said, he was proven not to be really that dangerous with them or the ability to do much with them.
He didn't control them, but he just got so many of them.
Yeah,
like, I think Algio got taken down like 9 or 10 times.
I feel it. And when we first started the podcast, I would have been balls deep on scoring that for Ramos. But I've just, I guess, grown to love like damage and like what's more dangerous. Like what's closer to ending these fights? A grappling sequence from Ramos or a strike from Algio? And I definitely leaned a strike from Algio. But like I said, maybe that's too subjective. But so I scored it 29-28 Algio. Now, 2 judges scored it 30-27 Ramos, and 1 judge scored it 29-28 Ramos. What did your scorecard come out to? 29-28?
I had 29-28 Ramos, yeah. So I agree with the one judge. I thought the 30-27s were out of line.
They were out of line, right? Honestly, and this may be splitting hairs, I was not going to roll out the hill if it was all 29-28s.
No,
those two 30-27s, like the hill needed a rolling.
I was confused on how 2 essentially toss-up rounds 2 and 3 that I thought 3 was like not as much of a toss-up. That was more so Algio, right? I thought to myself, how possibly could you not put that as like as like how could you not flip the coin in reality and go 1-1? Like I don't understand the logic.
Yeah, I was honestly shocked that whenever they said Ramos' name, I felt pretty goddamn good that Algio's name was going to be called.
Like, bro, at least the 3rd round was Algio's. Like,
yeah,
I don't even think that was that in question. Like, I wrote close round, but I even wrote Algio came for it, but too little, too late was one of my notes too because I thought he was down 2 rounds. So for me, I'm like the one judge where 29-28. Which I don't think you'd have as much of a problem with, considering how close the second round was.
I wouldn't have had a problem with 29-28. Yeah, no, it was the 30-27s that made me roll out.
Yeah, they read them both, and I was like, damn, really?
Yeah, really? Exactly. I felt bad. I felt a little bad for Algio. Yeah. So when Ramos gets the victory, now, I mean, did Algio fight like just that great, or did he really do much damage? You didn't know. Like he definitely put the fight in the hands of the judges, 100%. And when you do that, you never know what's going to happen. So,
you tend to get fucked over when you do that.
Yeah, for sure, man. So we'll keep it pushing. This next fight, Felicia Spencer, Norma Dumont. Kind of a deceiving fight because they're not ranked, but only because there's no rankings at featherweights because there's so few featherweights. So,
there's like 8 or 9 of them.
Yeah, so I mean, they're both because Felicia Spencer's fought for the title. Dumont hasn't, but she looks really good. And she said she's going back down to 35, which I have a feeling she's probably only going back to 35 because the featherweight division's so trash. But anyway, so Felicia Spencer minus 200 favorite, Norma Dumont plus 155 underdog, and this fight. Well, so round 1 started off as absolute snooze in my opinion. I'm glad the volume turned up after round 1 because. If it was 3 rounds of round 1, I was literally going to go like make a sandwich or something, bro. Like round 1 was a snoozer, which it was such a snoozer that it made it hard to score, which is the wackest. I hate like if a fight's hard to score, I want it to be because it's so fucking close and both guys are beating the shit out of each other, or like one guy's winning the grappling and one guy's winning the striking. Inactivity hard to score. It's like I scored at 10-9 Spencer, but I literally wrote I don't like really care. Like I don't have like much like invested in that scoring because I was scoring nothing. Now almost all of Twitter.
I wrote close round because neither girl did anything. Yeah. Literally my notes.
Yeah. Like all of Twitter seemed to give it to Dumont, which like I said, not mad at it. Not gonna
I gave it to Spencer. I mean I did pick a girl. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't just going to not pick anyone. So I did score it 10-9 to Spencer.
Yeah, and I did it because of ring control. Spencer was walking forward.
Exactly right. She was pressing the action in a fight where neither girl did anything, so that's at least something.
Yeah, and now I think in the few rare exchanges in this fight, or in round 1, Dumont did come out probably hitting a little harder, a little cleaner. So I understand the people, you know, that gave that round to her. They said there wasn't a whole lot to judge, and she gave you, I guess, something to judge. I'm not mad at it.
I would say my only counterpoint to that is, for those people, is like, well, if Spencer doesn't come at her, like, we don't even have a fight. So, because Dumont wasn't doing a goddamn thing unless Spencer was walking at her.
True. Fair enough. And then in round 2, I thought Dumont started to do what she had success with in the first round, but just increased the volume, and I thought it was enough to give her the round.
So I scored the first to Spencer. I thought Dumont's striking started to take a little bit more like dominance, or like
in round 2, yeah.
Yeah, it felt a little more apparent that she was like winning that striking battle.
Yes.
So, and as far as the round went on, like she got a little stronger in the second round, I thought too. Yeah. So all that being said, I had it 19-19. I had it 10-9 Dumont that round, so 19-19 going into the third.
Me too.
Now in the third, I thought it was damn near, again, almost a 50-50 round. And I leaned to Dumont in that one, though. And not only because I leaned to Spencer in the first 50-50 round, so-called, but I actually thought Dumont did have the edge in the third.
See, I'll have to disagree with you there. I thought the clinch elbows up against the cage by Felicia Spencer were the most damaging and impactful thing done in the whole 15 minutes of that fight. I thought they were the only thing that had a chance to end the fight. I thought, yeah, I honestly didn't even think it was that close. I felt round 3 was 10-9 Spencer from damage and power shots. I felt really, really good about it. I didn't even really have it close or anything like that in my notes. I felt pretty good about giving it to Spencer. So I scored it 29-28 Spencer, which one judge agreed with me. One judge agreed with you, and the other judge was too busy shooting heroin.
Yeah, 30-27 Dumont. How is that possible?
Which, I mean, I guess I see how it's possible. She won the coin flip round 1, definitely won round 2, and then, you gave her round 3. So I guess that's how you get to that conclusion. But, yeah, I guess that's the only reason why I'm not rolling out a hill is because literally all opinions were represented by the judges. One judge agreed with me, one judge agreed with you, and one judge didn't agree with either of us, which just goes to show how weird of a fight this was to score, and not
Very
really
weird.
For the fun reasons either.
The inactivity in the first round led to a lot of conjecture as far as scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's those girls' fault. That's not the judge's fault.
Exactly. It's definitely for sure. Spencer, like I said, she can say she was trying to walk forward, but she was still being super tentative, super not the most game. And whenever she got hit in the face, you could tell she didn't like it. And I'm not saying
that.
I'm not saying other people do like it, but it's not as noticeable. You put on the
Shane Burgos doesn't put on it. You know what I'm saying? When Shane Burgos gets hit, he's all right.
The term wearing the shots, either wearing them good or wearing them bad, applies.
And that
very
affects
much so
the way fights get scored.
It does. It does. Even as a guy who scored it to Spencer, I acknowledge that. And I think that was probably a big factor. You could just tell whenever she would get tagged with one of those stiff rights from Dumont, she was like, damn, is this really what I want to be doing right now?
Yeah, fuck, that was a stiff shot. I don't like that.
Yeah,
and it's you're in a fight. Get to it.
For sure, man. All right, so we'll keep it pushing. It was a split decision, too, which we try not to roll out hills on split decision. But Dumont cashing as a plus 155 underdog. It was a weird fight to score. But Dumont, what I do take away from this, a lot of featherweights don't look super athletic. She looked jacked. And apparently she's going back down to 135. Apparently she's had some trouble making 135 in the past. Apparently she's trying to do a gradual cut at the UFC PI. She moved to Vegas. But I'm seeing her at 135, if she has a good weight cut, I can see those stiff punches being effective.
No, I definitely could. And I think at 35, she's good competition for any of those girls.
Yeah.
Sarah Alpar was supposed to fight, right? On this card? Or is that the next card?
I don't know, brother. I don't know. I didn't hear much about Alpar. That doesn't ring a bell. That doesn't.
For some reason, she has a fight either coming up in 2 weeks or it was supposed to be this card and got scratched. But either way, I was just going to say that the more I get into women's fighting, the more I realize they don't cut near as much weight as dudes. It's not biologically the same for them, obviously.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
so that's the reason being. But it's crazy to think like if they're for the girls that can cut the weight like that, like that's a huge advantage because almost all guys can cut weight at like drastic numbers, like 20% of our body weight we could lose in a 1 month window to get to do like what fighters do.
Yeah.
But for women, like that's like a 10% cap most from what they mostly say.
And I think also you got to factor in height in a lot of cases, unless you're Caitlin
and muscle mass. Like if you're a ripped woman, you can cut more weight just because water stores or muscles store more water.
True. And I'm saying like height, like if you're a 5'1" strawweight, like a 5'3", flyweight, like not as much like place.
I mean, Davison Figueiredo's 5'11", making 125, and then you have Jessica Andrade 5'1", 125. It's like you're 10 inches shorter and you guys weigh the same.
That's an interesting point. But yeah, man, let's keep it pushing because this Justin Tafa fight versus Justin Tafa minus 200 versus Jared Vanderraa plus 155. I gotta be real. Before this fight started, I was like, here we go with unranked heavyweights high in the fucking card. Like, why are we watching this right now? Like, that was my attitude before the fight started. Once the fight started, it was awesome. And
Like the fight was like
it was great.
Like this. Well, my thing is like they don't deserve that spotlight, but they put on a fucking show under the spotlight. So shout out.
Like hindsight 2020, they look like geniuses for putting it this high in the card. Like it was it was a fantastic fight.
But honestly, Hermanson Shabazian was just good of a fight. Maybe better for the stakes.
Good point. Higher stakes. Yes, for sure. And just more activity because they were middleweights. But so Tafa is your classic bruiser, kind of blumbering Polynesian heavyweight, trains with Mark Hunt.
He's Mark Hunt. He's Mark Hunt.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, he's a taller Mark Hunt. And and then Jared Vanderraa, man, so impressed. Like
toughness and ability to strike.
Technique for days.
Yeah.
For days. Technique, crisp striking for days from like a 6'4" massive Viking offensive tackle of a man.
And he's getting better too, because I remember we broke down one of his previous fights and I wasn't near as impressed with him as I was in this fight.
No, he got so much better. He put into some work. Just throughout the fight, his volume, his accuracy, his ability to mix up the striking with kicks and knees. And he was getting that
the knees were nice, dude.
Quick.
He landed a nice knee early, like super nice. Like they hurt Tafa, but Tafa's so tough. Like fuck that he's tough.
So tough, so durable, kept marching forward. And it was the classic example, which we see this all the time, but we never see it really at heavyweight, of the whole concept of straight shots beating looping shots. Yeah. Which almost all heavyweights throw looping shots. There's not very many heavyweight technicians throwing them down the pipe. It's just,
because the power is so crazy that even if you get clipped with a hook when you're landing a jab, like you get put to sleep.
Like because you can't trade volume for power shots in heavyweight division. So we'll see how effective the strategy will be like long term for Vanderraa. But goddamn, last night he looked like a genius. He was just the quickest place from point A to point B. He was throwing straight shots, super accurate, super well timed. I think he had a little bit of a reach advantage, or if he doesn't have the reach advantage, that is that much more credit to the timing, because he was just keeping him on the edge of that jab, the edge of those straights, and just right on the nose, right on the teeth, all fucking night, just down the pipe, and then mixing in the kicks and the leg strikes just absolutely beautifully.
Honestly, each guy had a pretty nice chin, too, to be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I had all 3 rounds 10-9 for Vanderraa. I thought round 2 was Tafa's best round. It was a close banger of a round.
Okay. I'm glad you said that.
Because he that huge cut. But you got to ask yourself, were you swayed by the blood?
Because the dude was wearing a sweater of blood. Of course I was swayed.
Okay, but then they got back to the corner, and it
wasn't even a big cut. It was tiny. It was just like on the temple of his head. Lot.
Yes, and so throughout the whole fight, I was like, don't be like swayed by the blood. Be like, who? Because even covered in blood, Vanderraa was straight like tripling the volume.
But in the third round, I took it into account because I knew, right? Because I could see it clean when he came out of the round.
But you're still saying causing the cut gets the damage points, gives him the round. I'm not mad at that. I thought Tafa.
That, and if I'm going to score it live, like I can't go back and adjust my score after knowing that the cut is clean coming out in the third round. Like I've already written my score. So like,
true.
So like I had to just score it live. So based on that, I would say I gave it to Tafa.
No, yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I scored it that live too, but I just was like vindicated when it turned out to be that bad. Yeah. I didn't like go back and revise it, but I see it totally what you're saying, and the judges probably saw it that way too. But yeah, man. I said I gave it 10 on Vanderall just because like volume, accuracy. But I do acknowledge it was Tafa's best round. He inflicted the big cut. Not mad at that at all. You gave it to Tafa. Makes sense to me. Now, round 3, 10-9 Vanderall for me. The volume, the accuracy, the kick, just more of the same. I mean, he just put on a striking, like, technician master class. And, like, how often do you see that from a gigantic heavyweight? Like, it wasn't
honestly,
like,
he was landing some bombs in the third round, too. Like, tough as shit.
Like, it wasn't like he's a Tanner Bozer or who's the Dawkins.
Like, no, he's a big dude. He's not based on speed. Like he's actually has like the power and frame to like fuck with the biggest dudes, but like he also has clean, straight shots.
Yes, like I loved it. I loved it so much. I mean, obviously you can tell, but like I loved it. Like it was so just easy on the eyes. He was just throwing them kicks up there.
Maybe that's why they put him in this featured spot to like try and build a heavyweight because they don't have a lot of heavyweights, and this is a good guy to build them on because Tafa. Tafa's minus 200.
Yeah,
so.
Tafa's minus 200. Yeah, I
that's even more impressive. I didn't take those odds into account when I watched it.
Yeah, I held I'm glad I didn't bet this fight. I would have bet Tafa. Like I was feeling pretty good. I mean, I probably wouldn't have bet him at minus 200, but maybe by knockout at probably a better number.
By KO, because you know he's like a Mark Hunt kind of guy.
Exactly. Yeah, but Vanderall much improved. This fight got fight of the night, which I'm not mad at. It was a good fight. Like I said, the argument for Hermansson Shabazian is obviously there to be made, and I'm not, but I thoroughly enjoyed
this fight. Was more fun.
It was fun. I think Dana likes fun heavyweight fights.
For sure, Hermansson and Shabazian was more technical. It was more sound.
Yes.
But this one, as far as like selling a fight, like this was like audience and crowd, like fuck yeah.
Like if you're in I bet the Buffalo Wild Wings was popping during this
fight.
Right.
That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah, exactly, man. So 2 judges saw it like me, 30-27. 1 judge saw it like you, so neither of us out of line. Both kind of vindicated in how we saw it. Unanimous decision for Vanderall. Cashing is plus 155 underdog. And man, Vanderall, like you said, moving forward. Let's look at some low end heavyweights real quick. Where are we at? Low-end heavyweights. I mean, guys like Alexei Oleinik, Sergey Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall. Ooh, Aspinall?
That's asking a lot. That's asking a lot of Vanderall.
No, it is. But I'm just saying, imagine just because they both throw straight punches. The technique.
The style would be sick. Yeah, the
style would be. That's all I meant. I didn't. Yeah, Vanderall probably doesn't win that one, right? He's probably definitely not favored to win, but.
Yeah, but fuck it. Why do I care if he wins? Like, I'm not trying to if I'm a matchmaker, I don't care about the careers. Like, I care about what sells. So you're right. Like, that fight sells.
But you know what's more likely going to happen? Alexei Oleinik. It's what always happens. It's always every time, right? Like
that poor 50-year-old fucking geriatric man.
It's going to be on the main card. Probably on the pay-per-view.
Damn it. It just like that dude has starching power, you know what I mean? Like he gets starched and he builds other people's star power. We call that starching power.
He gets the starch rub, the rub starch. Oh man! All right, let's get to this co-main, man, because I gotta be real. I was impressed. I was in a way kind of shocked.
I was blown away.
Was entertained. I learned a lot.
Checked a lot of boxes. It was 3 versus 4. Rankings McGee was happy as shit.
Rankings McGee, the number 1 contendership was happy, in my opinion. Let's dive into these strawweights. We got Yan Xiaonan, the 3rd ranked contender, minus 115 favorite versus Carla Esparza, minus 105, pretty much a pick'em. Number 4 ranked strawweight. Carla Esparza, former champ, and she has a win over Rose Namajunas, which is important to note. Rose Namajunas fans will probably say like that's when she wasn't, at her best and doing good and all that type of stuff. But hey, a win's a win, and it goes down in the history books. Man, Carla, so I gotta say, like I said, I'll get out my spoon. I felt good about Yan Janan coming into this one. I guess I should have listened to Vegas, but I guess I just thought I was the smartest man in the world. I felt good about Yan Janan. And then you see him walk into the octagon, and you see how much bigger Yan Janan is, and I felt even better. I was like, oh, yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah. Oh,
like, as far as, like, the whole getting off the bus test, like, Yan Janan, she looks the part, boy. I'll tell you, especially for strawweight, jack strawweight. But I don't know. How did you feel going into this one? And then we'll dive into what actually happened.
Man, so honestly, like, the build into this fight was, like, I thought Yan Janan, like, this was her fight to, like, show the world, like, yo, I'm the next girl to fight at 115.
Yeah.
Like, it's me and Weili. Like, China's on the rise. Like,
I
that's
thought that
what
was the build-up for the Chinese mega fight, maybe the first card back in China or something. Like, I thought.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, because there's some sick Chinese fighters now, too.
Yeah,
but so that's exactly what I thought. And I think that's what the UFC not necessarily wanted, because there's other storylines. They do want that because that's the best storyline.
The Rose Namajunas rematch is a solid consolation prize storyline.
Right, like they can't go wrong.
Yeah,
but they can do a better right. If that makes sense, they can be more right in one sense.
I think there's something mysterious whenever these like foreign fighters,
the Chinese girls, because we can't follow their camps. We don't know much about them.
Yeah, even like the mountains of Dagestan, these weird European countries, like. We don't understand their culture, but we know they're tough as shit, and they probably had like tough lives, probably had to deal with weird obstacles that we don't have to deal with here in America. And like, there's some kind of mystique to that, and like, kind of give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to like toughness and shit like that. Like, at least I do.
100%.
And then Carla Esparza, we've seen her before. We've seen the cheeks in her armor. We know, but we also know that she's champion pedigree. Yeah, unique too for the strawweight division, and that she has elite wrestling. Like that's a unique challenge. But yeah, so I think we built it up enough. But round one, man, all kind of speculation and people thinking they had this fight figured out got thrown smooth out the window.
What's crazy? Yeah, I mean, because like I said, I thought
in Vegas too.
Yeah, all of us, the whole world. Like, Carla Esparza really put on a show, because in the first round, she was dominating the grappling exchanges. She got the takedown. She's working super hard, and I noted this in the notes, which a little ominous that I even noted this. She was working super hard for the crucifix position when she was on the top in round one.
And just how fast and effective and easily she was advancing position, like. It's because there's a difference between just holding somebody down and having top pressure, and AKA grapple control gets referred to a lot. But she was advancing position almost the entire time.
Yeah, how'd you score it?
I scored a 10-8 with confidence.
Me too.
No question mark. Stamp my initials on it. Put my name on it. That's a 10-8.
With a minute to go.
Minutes.
With a minute to go, I wrote, if this continues for the next minute, this won't be a 10-9. This will be a 10-8. Easy 10-8.
And the grappling. We haven't mentioned the ground and pound at all. Like
she was
vicious.
She was opening. She opened her up in the first, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Split a big cut.
Yeah, that's right.
Similar to the Vanderrock cut, not quite as big, bloody.
Yeah, it was a deep. Like, she took a piece of her skull out. Like, it was not her actual skull, but like the skin. Like, she had like a piece missing out of her forehead right there.
Yeah. And
it was crazy.
It kept bleeding in the second round too. They weren't able to close it up like they were Vanderhoff. Yeah, so 10-8 Esparza, like I said, exclamation point, put a stamp on it. And then round two, I honestly thought it was gonna be kind of like the Shabazian Hermanson fight, where I was like, Yan Janan's got to stick her, like, draw her line in the sand and not like let this continue. Like, I honestly thought she was gonna come out and like look better in round two. Did not happen in the slightest. Yeah, Carla Esparza came out, did the exact same thing, but was able to advance all the way to crucifix, or essentially like a modified crucifix, and just brutally, just absolutely brutally finish the fight with ground and pound elbows and strikes.
Yeah, I mean, put her back in the crucifix and just like literally like I feel bad for Yan Xiaonan because that's not a cool position to get put into. You know what I mean? Like your arms are pinned down and you're just eating strikes. It's like that's never fun.
Totally on board with the stoppage. Not.
Oh
Really.
no. Because like she tried to bridge out 3 times and couldn't get out, and your bridges are gonna get softer. So essentially, like that's a mercy stoppage.
It was a mercy stop. I'm glad you put it that way because, like, by the letter of the law. I wanted it to keep going, but by the
wasn't necessary at that point.
She was intelligently defending.
100%. She just had no defense.
She was intelligently.
So she was intelligent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel. I'm saying I didn't want to see her. The fight was over. It didn't need to go on. But I'm just saying, if you wanted to be
that position is like pretty savagely dominant.
Yeah. You know what I mean? The most dominant position you can really get. Really, I mean.
Essentially, yeah. You pin their arms down, and you have a free arm, so you can just beat the shit out of them with it.
All right, man. And then now we got the main event, which everybody was chomping at the bit for this one. This fight had a lot of buzz. I love how just certain fights capture the public and certain fights don't. You can't really. It's not always the best. It's just. I mean, which these 2 fighters are amazing, but I feel like the public was pretty hyped for this one.
Yeah, I think the Cody Garbrandt, his whole persona factors a lot into it. The fact that like he either gets finished or finishes his opponent. He's not a guy that really lives in the middle of those 2 things, which is like kind of rare for most top end fighters.
Yeah, and I remember Cody Garbrandt. It was even like back before podcasts really popped off as big as they are now. He was still going on podcasts and on like ridiculousness and doing TV. Like he built his brand up really big back whenever he was like number 1 contender. Yeah, and champ. And
he was the belt for one fight.
And so you know, he has a good brand. Also, shout out to his pre-rolls. I've had a lot of
that's right.
I hate like buying pre-rolls at dispensaries. Like I've worked at dispensaries. I know the dirty little secrets behind the scenes that even those $20 pre-rolls that are coated in keef, you're essentially smoking trim and shake and bullshit. That's not like grinded up fire buds. They don't take the prime nugs and make pre-rolls out of them, just so you know. Or at least most people don't. And when you taste it, like buy a pre-roll and then roll your own joint and see what they taste the same. They don't taste anywhere near the same. And like there's a reason for that. You're smoking twigs and all types of shit. Even nice pre-rolls. That's why there's this one brand I respect, the Tarantulas, I think it is. They're the only ones that will tell you ground flower or trach, or they tell you like they'll tell you exactly.
Level of the bud in the pre-roll.
And then
the
obviously
matches.
yes. Which I respect transparency. But anyway, I say all that to say, I went to this dispensary in Sacramento, which is where Cody Garbrandt trains out of and stuff. And I'd never been to a Sacramento dispensary. And there's this pre-roll called the No Love pre-roll. And I'm like, maybe? I bet I bet it's just like a coincidence. And I get it. And sure enough, it's like Cody Garbrandt's like pre-roll brand. Best pre-roll I've ever smoked. Like it wasn't a keef. It wasn't a hash. It was flower only. So tasty. Tasted like you rolled up the prettiest bud you've ever seen. And he's doing pre-rolls the right way. Like, amazing fucking pre-roll. Like I said, I just wanted to shout him out because, I mean.
Damn, shout out to Cody then. I didn't realize all that.
It's so good, bro. Like every other pre-roll sucks compared to Cody Garbrandt's pre-rolls. Like, straight up, I hope he makes millions of dollars off of them. Like, because like I said, I worked at I've tried every pre-roll brand. They almost all suck, even the expensive ones. And it was like a $12 pre-roll or something. It wasn't even like it was
for
like,
a gram.
Yeah, for a gram, big old fatty cone. Yeah, dude.
No, that's about right. Because if like you're gonna roll it for me, put it with like a filter and a cone, like I mean, a gram's like worth like what, $8-7 essentially if it's like good bud.
Dude,
so like,
out here, bro, you'd be surprised. Some pre-rolls, there's $30 pre-rolls and shit. Like it's yeah. So I'm saying it was the cheapest pre-roll pretty much almost anywhere you can get, and it was the best one I ever seen.
Damn, we got places out here that do like $4 pre-rolls and shit.
You can get those.
I mean, they're trash.
Yeah, you can find those, but yeah, it's like that's you might as well roll up the long clippings. But yeah, we'll keep it pushing to the actual fights. So I just want to give credit where credit's due, and I'm hard on the pre-rolls, but Cody Garbrandt does them right. So wish him well on his other business ventures, you know. But yeah, Rob Font coming in as actually this fight started at even money, and it got bet to Font at -135. So money was definitely coming in on Font. He was the third-ranked bantamweight, fighting Cody Garbrandt, who stayed at +110. He's the 4th-ranked bantamweight, former champion. I'm not going to lie, man. I drank the Kool-Aid. I thought Cody Garbrandt was saying all the right things, doing all the right things.
I'm with you.
I liked Cody coming in. I'm glad I wasn't betting last night. I would have lost all my money. Everybody I was feeling good about lost.
Well, I liked Cody, but like as the more the fight went on, the more I thought to myself, like, yeah, I should have thought about these styles more. Like just like you were saying with the Vanderhoff fight, Cody Garbrandt throws big looping strikes and not a lot of shit down the middle, whereas Rob Font.
Hold on, I gotta go, babe. I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's happening.
You're good. I don't know. I hope everything's all right. We might have to end here. Come back and do the Garbrandt font breakdown.
Dude, hey, bro, can you hear me?
Yeah, you all right? Hello?
Yeah, dude. So like the cops are like tackling a guy on the side of my house and shit. We got to end this. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
We'll finish up. We'll come back for the main event. I'm sorry.
Cool. No, you're good.
All right. So those that were watching, we were just about to break down Garbrandt font at the end of Beefy Boys episode 48, and my wife comes bursting in the room like voice full of panic. Dom, come, like something's happening. That's the only piece of information I have to work with, but like her voice is like frantic. And I hear the dogs going crazy. So at first I think like some big dog is like has a hold of one of our small dogs or something. And so I open the gate. There's like a big like iron gate on the side of our house. I open, and that's where all the commotions like going. There's dogs. You hear people moving around, cussing, yelling. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I had no context. I opened the gate, and there's like 6 cops at least, like fighting with like this dude, and they're like fighting and cussing. I think they're tasing him, and it's like a real life like episode of Cops like happening. So she didn't even know what it was, and thank God they got him right then, because he was about to try to come in our backyard where Nina hangs out in the backyard and like plays her ukulele while we do the podcast and stuff. So she was out there by herself with Holly, and he was like literally making a sprint for our gate whenever the cops tackled him. And
holy shit.
Yeah, so in like my whole street was blocked off with cop cars. They said there were like 6 guys on him he was fighting with, and they were tasing him. And then apparently they said he's been responsible for a bunch of car thefts in the neighborhood. So there's like a solid chance this cocksucker was the one that stole my car. So if it is, fuck him. I hope he rots in there. But yeah, and it's totally fun too. So he's a white guy, so we can all be happy that he's like getting beat up. Yeah, just a great. Yeah, fuck him, right? Fuck him, you know. Ain't gonna be no marches for your ass. No,
sir.
No, they fucking. But yeah, dude. So it apparently he's like a 6-time parolee, real piece of shit, responsible for a lot of the bullshit that goes on in this neighborhood, and way too much bullshit goes on in this neighborhood. So fuck him. I'm glad they got him, and like nobody was hurt, but like it was hectic when I first like opened the gate, but then. So then, like, they're like, oh, I'm like waiting to give my statement or whatever. This like lady cop comes over, and like, I was like, yeah, it's crazy, fucking UFOs last night. And she was like, oh, you guys saw that too? And she like confirmed it, bro. She was like, yeah, no, my husband saw it. We got a bunch of calls, like,
damn,
yeah, fucking vindicated. She was like on board too. She's like, oh yeah, like it's been happening a lot lately, like.
Yeah, or the aliens know you saw and they're just coming for you.
Maybe, man. But fuck, dude. So just crazy sequence of events. I had to make sure everything was all right. My aunt's dog, like I think, like tried to attack the guy, which is kind of cool. It's like a pretty small dog, but not like a medium-sized dog, not super small.
Just getting fucked up by like a Yorkshire Terrier.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So sorry we had to take a little pause. had to come back and break down this Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt fight. It's literally the main event. The whole kind of crescendo got fucked up. We were just about to break it down, and they said all hell broke loose. I didn't know what was happening. I don't know. I didn't know. I went through like every emotion in a matter of like 30 seconds. Like I didn't know what the fuck was going on. But then by the end of it, I was just eating a frozen burrito, watching the police fight. So everybody's all right. So they took a dab. It was all good.
That is a real life episode of Cops for sure.
For sure, right? I had to like match like the white trash energy that was like.
That's what I mean. Yeah, El Monterey frozen burrito. You already know.
Or on the front porch, just for everybody.
Oh god, just watching, just absorbing the fucking.
I almost took off my shirt.
Oh my god!
I didn't want to do them like that, but but all right. So we got Rob Font, the number 3 bantamweight, minus 135, fighting Cody Garbrandt. Cody No Love Garbrandt, who's still only 29 years old, plus 110 underdog, number 4 ranked bantamweight. We both like Cody Garbrandt coming into this. We thought that maybe some of the changes in training and attitude and perspective were going to serve him well. And it turns out none of that stuff matters as much as a good stiff jab and a straight right. And like I said, we kind of contradicted ourselves because we always praise the guys that throw straight shots, and we love watching crisp striking. And none of that really, defines Garbrandt's style of striking, and it perfectly defines Rob Font's style of striking. So, that may have been a little more of our heart than our brain on that one.
Yeah, no, I think I'm totally with you on that. But I think also it was the idea of, like, the way the promotion was going, like Cody Garbrandt's past history. And, like, Rob Font doesn't get a lot of love.
No, because he kind of came out of nowhere,
Well, he's, part of that, like, Boston Cartel training camp with, like, Calvin Kadar and those guys. But it's like...
Yeah, but even a few years ago, like, they weren't really on the map like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, Kadar's their biggest guy, right?
I know Garbrandt's nickname is No Love, but, like, Rob Font really gets, like, no love. Like, it's crazy.
He gets no love. Yeah, I think that changes. I think he needed this win, man. I think he needed this win because, I mean, up until this point, he had some good wins, but he also had some losses. And, it was just like Garbrandt, which, like, it's crazy. The MMA math on this fight was wild. Like Garbrandt knocked out a Sun Cell, and a Sun Cell had beat Font, but right, they had both lost to the Brazilian guy.
Not Moraes.
No, not Moraes. One second, I'm looking up on
Tempo. No.
God damn it!
They both beat what's his
Pedro
name?
Munoz.
They both lost to Munoz?
They both lost to Munoz. So yeah, like the MMA math was interesting on it, like as far as common opponents go. They had both
they both beaten Thomas Almeida.
Yes. So there were some common losses, common victories, mixing and matching. So like I said, MMA math will drive you crazy on this one. I think I just wanted to see Cody kind of get it back on track, but I think we got to start like, I mean, this is probably obvious to some people, maybe less obvious to other people, but like, how often do we see somebody lose it and get it back on track? Like, yeah, I know we were just talking about like Oliveira, but that's like a younger fighter, like building and getting better like throughout. Like, as far as like being on top, losing it and getting it back, there's Rose Namajunas,
so rare, and usually like you can only leave the top for so long, and then it's untouchable if you're gone for too long.
And it's weird with Garbrandt, though, because age is not a factor in this whole conversation. Like, it's so weird talking about, like, when you have a conversation about Cody Garbrandt, it literally sounds like you're talking about, like, an old fighter, not a 29-year-old. But then you, like,
I know
so it's weird context, right?
But it's weird because the miles are finally starting to add up.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Like
age
29.
versus miles is, exactly.
It's a rough 29. I mean, I think it's well documented. He had a pretty rough life coming up. And then, it's probably not also, it's well documented, he's probably not shying away from partying a little bit. And,
like fighting killers for the last 5 or 6 years.
Bad knockouts. That's what I'm saying. But like all of that, like you add all that up and it's a rough 29.
Yeah, right. I mean? The equation does not add up to be kind to you at that age.
Because like Rob Font was actually the older fighter, but like
but hasn't fought in wars like Garbrandt has. Doesn't have that same style of war either. Like Garbrandt was good at that when he was young because like your chin is so strong when you're young and you haven't been KO'd and you haven't taken all that damage. But now you're starting to see it, like the more damage he takes. He literally last night, his strategy when he get his back to the fence was to reach down to his foot to try and hide his hand so he can come up with a hard hook.
Just like a sunset. He tried to go to the well.
Right. And it's like, bro, like you did it once. I don't think anyone's going to ever let you do that to them again because that strike looked like it hurt a Sunsao a lot. So no one else is going to want that.
No, yeah, for sure. And Rob Font's so much more defensive sound with the boxing to like kind of allow.
And his jab controls the distance so much better.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like that's I know. In hindsight, it was my heart telling me Garbrandt because whenever you really look at it, there wasn't a whole lot of X's and O's that pointed to Garbrandt. I think it's just like we wanted Garbrandt to bounce back. I think it's just like
essentially, yeah. That's what like my heart wanted to see Cody do well and like succeed, but like the reality of the situation was that like it just wasn't going to happen because Rob Font's the up and coming guy. Like he's the surging wave, and Cody's the buoy.
It's so weird though because Cody's so much younger than him. But yeah, it's a weird dynamic for sure. But yeah, also, did you see any of the memes? I shit you not. The first picture I saw of Cody Garbrandt with that big thick beard, I thought it was photoshopped, and because I saw it in a meme, and it said Cody Garbrandt's been training in Dagestan. And it had because he had the Shimaev neck, but I thought it was photoshopped, and then it was real. So that was
I didn't love that. I didn't love that.
I thought it was hilarious. He literally looked like his name was like Garbrantov or something. I don't know. It's so funny.
Garbrandt.
Yeah, seriously. But man, I thought round one was essentially one of the closest rounds. Garbrandt did get 2 takedowns and landed some shots, but I mean, Font was definitely just from the opening bell when Font hit Garbrandt, it affected Garbrandt every time, each and every time he landed clean.
So, did you score any rounds for Garbrandt?
Not a single one. I had 1 and 5 as close, worth, debating. Garbrandt had some moments, did some things. I didn't. I had it 50-45 as well as 2 of the judges did as well.
So I had it 49-46. I gave the first round to Garbrandt and all the rest to Font.
The 2 takedowns, it was enough for you?
Yeah, I thought 2 takedowns. Striking was 16-12, and I thought Cody was throwing harder strikes. Yeah, okay. So if you land 3/4 of the same amount of strikes and have 2 takedowns, for me, I was like, all right, I'll give you the round on that.
Yeah, it was a close one. I literally have close banger in all caps, so I mean, I'm not mad
my first notes are really close first round that I could score either way.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I just think that it's crazy because going into this fight, I think most people, I won't say everybody, but most MMA fans would have given Garbrandt the power probably edge,
for sure,
edge and power, and but what I saw last night, that was not the case. Font had the power advantage as well as the timing advantage, as well as the defense advantage.
And his jab was just so nice.
He was the much bigger man in there. It looked like just eye test. He was so much thicker. Like Font probably could, it wouldn't shock me if when Font gets a little older, if he's fighting at featherweight. You know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't be surprised with that.
He's a big bantamweight. He just you don't see a back like that on a bantamweight. You see the Sean O'Malley
or the reach. Kinda, his whole frame is big.
He's not a skinny guy. He's not a little man. He's not and we're talking bantamweight here. He's a and then
Garbrandt is a compacted dude.
Yeah, when Garbrandt was debating going down to flyweight to fight Figueiredo, so that proves that he's on the smaller end of the bantamweight. Like Font couldn't make flyweight in a wet drink.
No way.
You know what I'm saying?
There's no way.
So I mean, no excuse. I mean, they both weighed in and fought under the same unified rules and made the same way. I mean, it is what it is. But Font was the bigger man. Like I said, I don't think anybody going into this, and I think if you said that, I think you're doing a little revisionist history. That if you said Rob Font had the power advantage going into this fight, oh no, I may need to go back and check some old tweets or something.
So, what do you think is next for Rob Font here?
Yeah, just real quick, a little more X's and O's. I thought a huge factor of it, the commentary hit on it a lot, that even though it seems like the jab was what was winning the fight, what was really winning the fight, they're kind of intertwined, but what was really winning the fight was the fact that Cody Garbrandt was on his bicycle the whole fight.
Cody Garbrandt walking forward the whole
fight. Entire fight. That's why round 5, I debated, was round 5 better than round 1 for Garbrandt? Because round 5 was the only.
He was actually coming forward.
Yes, the only round. Now, I think in the grand scheme of things, you'd probably still rather have the 2 takedowns, at least on paper or whatever. But I thought it was really, really impressive in round 5 that Garbrandt dug deep, and it was too little too late. There was no way in hell he was about to win that fight, but he corrected the mistake. Was it too little too late? And God damn it, if he would have controlled the octagon from rounds 2 on, are we talking about, he still probably loses, but are we talking a split decision, a close decision, a very competitive fight?
Well, but one judge scored it 48-47, so it was he didn't that judge, once again, crack rock judges, man.
And this is coming from a pro Garbrandt guy who was I was literally searching for reasons to give Garbrandt a round, and I still came up 50-45. I'm not mad that you gave him a round. That's fair. I think he probably fought good enough to win a round if you look at it on the whole. It wasn't I don't know, bro. All right, did the thought cross your mind at all of Rob Font trying to put on for the Cater beating, the beating that Cater took, just the world-class ass whooping? That was what it reminded me of. When I watched that fight, it was hard not to think of Holloway Cater. Now, it wasn't as dominant as Holloway Cater, but there were shades, as they say, there were shades of Holloway Cater.
Yeah, where Garbrandt was just eating shots and staying upright and just continue to fight. Yeah, I do feel that.
And just the jab and just the pow, the 1-2s. And,
they definitely were trying to exact some revenge. I think that whole camp wants to get some fire back in them.
I felt that. This is for Cater. You know what I mean? I felt that, and I didn't hate it either. I'm not saying that in a bad way. I thought it was pretty.
Oh no, yeah.
I liked that. They have a good camaraderie, teamwork up there. Also, at one point, did you see in the octagon camera when there was blood splattered on it? That was so cool. That was some shit. If it happened in an action movie, you would think it was corny, but it happened in real life. There was
I didn't see that.
There was a shot because they got off of it real quick. There was a shot. They went to the in octagon camera where you don't have to look through the cage.
Yeah,
that angle. There was literally blood splattered. It looked like some Mortal Kombat, the movie 300 when they got blood on the camera lens.
Damn.
Some Sin City type of extra dramatic. It was cool. So I don't know. Just I noticed that. I don't think I remember seeing blood on the camera, at least not in a while. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, Font put on a masterclass. Like I said, it just looked so amazing. And I want to say this. I want to give Font his props without necessarily wrecking Garbrandt, because I thought Garbrandt did some things good. I said in the 1st and 5th round, which that tells you a lot right there. If the fighter gets beat up for 3 rounds in between and still comes back and has his debatably best round in the 5th and corrects some mistakes, I don't know. I give value to that. I don't consider that a horrible loss, but he did get pieced the fuck up.
Yeah, as far as quality of loss, yeah, Garbrandt showed that he's a fighter's fighter. You know what I mean? He won't quit. Yeah, he'll make adjustments even in the last, even if it's not meaning winning the fight, but at least to be more competitive in the fight.
Yeah, I love all that.
So yeah, as far as for Garbrandt, I'm happy to see him fight whoever he fights next. It could be anybody as long as it's a tough challenger. Because don't give him to anyone easy, because he'll starch easy guys.
That's the thing, right? He's kind of, it's so weird because he's 29, but I feel like there's a lot of parallels between the Tony Ferguson situation and the Cody Garbrandt situation. It's you can't toss Tony in there with a contender series guy. I feel
because Tony's only losing still even to guys that are just pretty elite. Yeah.
Yeah. And this was exactly, you can't toss you can't toss Garbrandt to any up and comer because he's already beat a Sunset. Knocked out Sunset's on 11. Maybe if you Dominic Cruz and run that back, Pedro Munoz rematch.
God, it's so tough because he's fought almost everyone.
The middle of the bantamweight division is so weird because the top is young studs, the bottom is young studs, and the middle is old heads. Because you got Aldo at 5, you got Moraes at 6, you got Edgar at 7, Munoz at 8, Cruz at 9, and then Divashvili at 10. So it's a really weird mix right there of in that middle.
That is weird.
Know, do you use Garbrandt to send some of these old guys out? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I mean, although Garbrandt's a fun fight.
It's a fun fight. Fans would love it. UFC fans would love it.
Valishvili Garbrandt is good if you're trying to build Valishvili.
Yep. In the wrestling, I think, I don't know.
That'd be fun because they're both such good grapplers.
Yeah, exactly. That's really interesting. But I mean, let's talk about the fucking gridlock traffic jam we have now for the bantamweight belt. Because I mean,
it is a gridlock. Like, you're not wrong, but I think it's like a gridlock where, like, you see the paramedics on site and you're like, okay, it's gonna be over soon.
So just explain to me, break down 3 through champ for how you see it breaking down for the next title fight and the next title fight and the next title fight, because much like the lightweight division,
that's what it is. It has to be the belt just going back and forth, because that's the only thing that's going to unlock it is the champion fighting.
But somebody's going to get the gagey into the stick here, for
sure. But at least there's only 4 guys and not 5. When there's 5, it's what makes it real weird. But with the 4, so you have champion Aljamain Sterling, number 1 Peter Yan, number 2 Corey Sandhagen, and number 3 Rob Font.
So Sandhagen's booked against Dillashaw,
which is
that fight's still crazy. Happening pretty soon.
So here's the thing, man, is like, name value wise, when you bring Dillashaw in, you do get that 5th guy, and this is what's going to fuck someone. Because if Dillashaw does beat Sandhagen, which I don't think he will, but if he does, Dillashaw's going to get the shot at the belt. Just on name, on principle of him taking the years off, coming back, beating a top guy.
Seems like he has a good relationship with Dana.
Right.
Seems like it. He stuck his neck out for him.
So, all that considered, like, if Dillashaw wins, he gets the title fight. If Sandhagen wins, he gets the title fight. Like, that's a guaranteed title shot.
Petr Yan rematch. Is that not first?
No. Yes, that is first. That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Oh, well, that's what.
Yes. So yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Well,
whoever wins that fight gets the win. Well, I mean, even if Yan beats Aljo this time, I don't think you do a 3rd fight.
Oh yeah, no. Especially with so many other viable contenders, for sure. That would be a shame to hold up the division, for sure. Now, would you agree? And I know I sound like I'm flip-flopping here after being such an Aljamain Sterling, dick rider for so long, but like, is he the weakest of all of these names? Like, it's like is he it's hard to say worst fighter, but like, I mean,
because
Piotr was putting it on him. Sandhagen was just explosive and a whole nother puzzle to solve. Even though Aljo did choke out Sandhagen, is the weird part in all this. I think most MMA fans view that as a little flukish, and
for sure.
And it's, I still, in a vacuum, I think most MMA fans would take Sandhagen over Aljamain Sterling. Like, if
I would today, now, for sure. Especially if you had the mentality swap he's had.
Yeah, like if you had to pick one of those fighters to like do a career mode with going forward, I think most people are picking Sandhagen. You got Dillashaw, former champ.
His Q rating is just way too high for it.
Q rating, kind of the McGregor-ish factor there, as far as maybe getting the benefit of the doubt off of your name value and ability to sell a pay-per-view, right? And then you got Rob Font, which, talk about what have you done for me lately? I mean, he just put on a fucking masterclass over a former champion. The same former champion that Dillashaw beat, that pretty much gives Dillashaw his kind of claim to the throne, if you will. So
I think where we're at is...
And Dillashaw beat him twice, though, so he could... Didn't he? Dillashaw beat Garbrandt twice. So, I mean, if I'm Dillashaw and you're saying you give Rob Font over me, like, I beat him twice. You beat him, like how does that math work? But
I would say if I'm Rob Font, I'm fighting the loser of Aljo Yan. That's probably my assumption because this fight wasn't for them to be number 1 contender.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. I think this fight really had, in a lot of ways, had a lot more to do with Garbrandt, narrative-wise.
It was finding out Garbrandt's future, It was is he going to be the belt contender, or is he just going to be a guy?
Because if Garbrandt wins last night, I mean, it's arguable to say he doesn't jump to over Sandhagen.
Right. That's what I mean.
Because of name value and like kind of the TJ Dillashaw type-ish factor. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think it's like equal opportunity. Like I don't think
this is the same
boost.
This is the same thing as when like Oliveira beat Tony Ferguson almost, right? Like we weren't necessarily saying Oliveira had to fight for the belt. We were just saying like, okay, he could be in that position. Like we see what he did.
Yeah.
Whereas if Ferguson had won, we would have all been, because he was number 3 at the time. He was fighting number 7. We would have all said, "Oh, Tony's got to fight for the belt. Yeah, he's just got to."
Yeah, no, it's such an interesting situation there, and I mean, it seems like Petr Yan would win the rematch. He'll be favored to win it. Aljo definitely won't get a rematch for a while, so that'll kind of eliminate him for the conversation.
I feel like Aljo Font is the fight. But I don't know when Aljo's even going to fight because he had neck surgery. Like, he might hold the whole division up for so long, man.
And it sucks because like, when it all happened, I was very like, oh, let's not be hard on Aljo.
I know. I was on his side. Now it's just like, bro.
It's getting harder to stomach, right? Like, it's
right.
Like,
it's like you moved from the big house and you quit working.
Because we love the bantamweight division. We talk about it every single podcast. We love the unranked bantamweights, the lower end, the old legends. The top end, some of the highest level of martial arts you'll see comes out of the bantamweight division.
For sure.
Some of the most gorgeous striking, best cardio. Wars, war tested. I mean, to even climb your way into this conversation, you have had to beat some of the best in the world. I mean, see Rob Font.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a logjam, man, and it's a lot of fun. So I feel like this is deja vu of where we were, like 6-8 months ago with the lightweights.
It is the exact same thing. It's the exact same thing. And honestly, seeing how the lightweights have played out, though, there's no resolution in the lightweight division. Like, it's just gotten more murky and cloudy.
Yeah, which is cool because like that provides years of entertainment. Like that doesn't play out in 6 months.
Like Gaethje being so unwilling to fight guys below him and saying that he deserves only title shots is like fucking the division so hard.
It is, and then it's somehow he comes out of it smelling like the victim. That's what
I mean.
I'm like,
yeah, like, and everyone's like, "Oh, Gaethje deserves it." Like, it's like, no, he got dominated by Khabib. Like, everyone else has gone out and got a win. Like, fuck you, Gaethje. Go out and fight someone.
Yeah, like this. Just like Weili, I don't think deserves necessarily an automatic rematch with Rose, especially after. Oh yeah, we're gonna talk about that at all. Does Carlos Esparza get the title shot next over the rematch with Weili?
God, we didn't talk about that, but it's a great question because, like, I probably do give it to Esparza over Weili because Weili didn't show shit in the 1 minute she lost in, and it was like a pretty dominant setup as far as how it happened. It wasn't like a flash KO. It was like a head kick that like Rose like knew like, oh yeah, she leaves her right hand high, so I'm gonna sneak my left high kick in.
And Esparza has the wrestling that could potentially neutralize some of Rose's length. Esparza has a win over Rose. Made it like when you talk about making a statement, she made the loudest statement last night. Loudest statement.
Of course, got a crucifix finish.
Yeah, that was like the biggest statement. So I like Esparza moving forward. That'd be interesting. But yeah, man, a great episode, a wild episode. Well, real life happens. That's just proof that we filmed this motherfucking live. We had to take a cops break. Downtown San Jose. Gotta love it, man. Thanks so much for being with me, my bro. This was episode 48 of Beefy Boys Breakdown. Like, subscribe on YouTube. And you can follow me at Dreadful Talk Dom on Instagram and Twitter. Harrison_Madden, Instagram and Twitter. And at Beefy Breakdown on Twitter. Thanks, everybody.
Yes,
appreciate it.
Later, bro.